Chapter 54:19. The limitless demon lord went straight to the culmination snow mountain. Even Jiyu Fei didn't expect the limitless demon lord to know the snow demon. This surprised Jiyu Fei. Did the limitless demon lord come into contact with the snow demon when he came to the void realm? Of course, it didn't matter to Jiyu Fei whether the snow demon and the limitless demon lord knew each other. However, it was worth it for Jiyu Fei to be able to watch such a wonderful battle. At this time, the two of them were using their inner worlds to fight each other. The limitless demon lord waved his hand and created a world. Then, he smashed the demonic sky towards the snow demon. The power of the whole demonic sky went straight towards the snow demon. The snow demon also casually opened up a snowy region. She waved her hand and the snow domain she created went straight towards the demonic sky of the limitless demon lord. Boom! The two inner worlds collided with each other in an instant. An extremely violent energy wave spread out in all directions. The two inner worlds began to collapse, releasing a power that could destroy the world. Rumble! The entire culmination snow mountain was shaking, and the countless creatures on the snow mountain were terrified to the extreme. At this time, the power of the infinite realm on the culmination snow mountain erupted and protected the whole mountain. The destructive power from the sky was blocked. There's something strange about this mountain. When Jiyu Fei sensed the power waves, he couldn't help but change his expression. The power of Shu Tian? The limitless demon lord was shocked. His blood-red eyes shone with a terrifying blood-red light. A powerful demonic aura spread out from his body. The demonic power was earth-shattering. "You only know now," the snow demon said coldly. At this time, the two inner worlds completely collapsed. The two destructive powers collided with each other, intertwined, destroyed, and cancelled each other out. "So, you're using his power to break through your cultivation realm." The limitless demon lord's face was very serious. The snow demon didn't speak. She waved her right hand and another snow domain appeared in the void. Only the snow demon and the boundless demon master could create a new world with a wave of their hands. Even the eternal realm experts could not create a new world in an instant. Hence, the two of them opened up their inner worlds one after another and used them to smash each other. This kind of method was really rare. At least, it was the first time that Jiyu Fei had seen someone use their inner world to smash someone. When one's inner world collapsed, the destructive power released was very strong. It could even obliterate everything. If it wasn't for the protection of sacred Lord Shu Tian's power, the culmination snow mountain would have been turned into ashes long ago. Even so, the ripples of Yuan Qi that spread out shook the entire sky. Countless living beings were terrified. "Master," on the city walls of Zhongtian Imperial City, Xiao Wei looked in the direction of the terrifying infinite power aura. Jiyu Fei left the Zhongtian Imperial City once more. A battle of this scale, he could not miss it. Xiao Wei also wanted to go watch the battle, but Jiyu Fei did not bring her along. Because the infinite power realm was too far away from Xiao Wei. At this moment, in the 9 heavens of Lingtian Palace, on the peak of a sacred mountain, a figure sitting cross-legged on the peak suddenly opened his eyes. Infinite Demon, a powerful aura erupted from the peak of the mountain. "Palace Master has come out of seclusion." The people in the Lingtian Palace were surprised and happy when they felt this aura. The Lingtian Palace Master was their support. As long as the Palace Master was around, not many people would dare to cause trouble in the Lingtian Palace. On the peak, the Lingtian Palace Master stood up and took a step forward. Instantly, he disappeared from the peak. The Lingtian Palace Master left the Lingtian Palace. When the Lingtian Palace Master left the Lingtian Palace, Yu Xian also left the Zhongtian Imperial City. At this time, Wu Jixian and the other 3 generals were enough to guard the Zhongtian Imperial City, because the Infinite Demon Master was not nearby. The Infinite Demon Master went to the culmination snow mountain and fought with the snow demon. For the time being, only Jiyu Fei was qualified to watch this battle between the infinite powers. It couldn't be helped. This was a battle between peerless powers. Peerless powers were the highest level of cultivation that they knew of. Not everyone could withstand the pressure of peerless powers. Not only could the living beings in the Zhongtian Imperial City feel the aura of the infinite demon master and the snow demon, even the living beings in other regions could feel these two supreme auras. Especially those Emperor Realm existences, they were even more terrified. The souls of the Emperor Realm experts in the 5 regions were trembling. Southern Barbarian, the ancestral land of the witch race, where the witch emperor was cultivating in seclusion. The witch emperor woke up from his meditation. Master, the 9-tailed fox emperor, who was guarding outside, immediately sensed that the witch emperor had woken up. Then, she disappeared on the spot. When she appeared again, she was already standing in front of the witch emperor. The 9-tailed fox emperor's cultivation was actually higher than the witch emperor's, but the witch emperor could decide her life and death with just a thought. Moreover, because of the restrictive spell in the 9-tailed fox emperor's body, the death of the 9-tailed fox emperor would not affect the witch emperor at all. However, if the witch emperor died, the restrictive spell in her body would explode and she would be buried with him. Therefore, the 9-tailed fox emperor would definitely not let anything happen to the witch emperor. Whose aura is that? The witch emperor said in shock. Who else? The snow demon. The 9-tailed fox emperor said impatiently. She was originally an expert from the culmination snow mountain. She was naturally very familiar with the aura of the snow demon. The snow demon from the culmination snow mountain? The shaman emperor couldn't help but be shocked when he heard this. That peerless woman was actually formidable to such an extent. Her aura could actually travel from the culmination snow mountain to the southern barbarians. This was too terrifying. One should know that the culmination snow mountain was very far from the southern barbarians. If one did not use the teleportation formation, even an Emperor Realm existence would need more than 10 days to fly from the southern barbarians to the culmination snow mountain. If one was slightly slower, it would probably take more than half a month to fly from the southern barbarians to the culmination snow mountain. However, the snow demon's aura could actually travel to the southern barbarians. Just thinking about it was terrifying. Then who is the other aura? The witch emperor asked. How would I know? The 9-tailed fox emperor shrugged and said indifferently. This aura is filled with demonic nature. The witch emperor frowned. One aura belonged to the snow demon, and the other aura definitely belonged to a demon that could contend with the snow demon. There was actually such a powerful demon in the void realm. The witch emperor knew of the existence of the extreme demon cave, but the extreme demon cave had long been destroyed by Jiyu Fei. How could there be such a powerful demon in the void realm? Could it be that terrifying demon from the legends? The Buddhist land had a demon. This was a shocking event. The witch emperor also knew about it, but the witch emperor did not know that it was a peerless demon of the infinite realm. The witch emperor thought that the remnants of the extreme demon cave had not been destroyed, which was why the Buddhist land had a demon. Who cares who it is, as long as it doesn't provoke us? Chapter 54:20. The battle between the limitless demon lord and the snow demon in the sky above the culmination snow mountain alarmed countless experts in the void realm. Previously, Jiyu Fei and the limitless demon lord had also fought. However, this battle between Jiyu Fei and the limitless demon lord took place in the void realm. Therefore, the auras of Jiyu Fei and the limitless demon lord did not appear in the void realm. When Jiyu Fei and the limitless demon lord fought, the powerful beings in the void realm did not sense the auras of Jiyu Fei and the limitless demon lord at all. However, this time was different. The battle between the limitless demon lord and the snow demon lord took place in the void realm. They did not enter the void realm. As such, the auras of the snow demon and the limitless demon lord spread out in all directions with the culmination snow mountain as the center. Countless experts were terrified. Rumble, at this moment, a starry sky appeared above the culmination snow mountain. A starry sky appearing in broad daylight was an unusual occurrence. Furthermore, Jiyu Fei realized that the stars in the sky were all glowing with a blood-red light. Those were demonic stars. Those blood-red demonic stars descended towards the ground. Each star emitted a powerful demonic aura. The countless living beings in the culmination snow mountain were immediately out of luck. Those weak living beings were gradually being demonized. Ferocious and terrifying demonic creatures began to appear in the culmination snow mountain once again. Is this demon trying to destroy the world? Ji Fei, who was watching the battle from afar, could not help but be astonished. The limitless demon lord had no scruples. Even if the entire void realm was destroyed, he would still be able to live. This was because he could split open the sky and earth. However, to the living beings in the void realm, this was the true end of the world. This was the true calamity of the world. It was difficult for all living beings to escape. The limitless demon lord's butcher's knife was not aimed at the countless living beings in the void realm, but at the world itself. If the void realm was destroyed, all the living beings in the void realm would die. Only a small number of living beings would be spared. The snow demon, was also astonished by this scene. This guy really had no qualms about attacking. Reconstruct the fleshly body and return to my true self. Right at this moment, a loud shout resounded from Culmination Snow Mountain, and then a ball of divine light rose up from the mountain. This is, Ji Fei stared at the ball of divine light in shock. Sacred Lord Void Sky. Ji Fei was no stranger to the aura emanating from that ball of divine light. This was because he had sensed this aura in the world that Sacred Lord Void Sky had created. To him, Sacred Lord Void Sky was definitely a mysterious and powerful existence. Could it be that Sacred Lord Void Sky, who had disappeared for countless years, was hiding in the sky-breaking snow mountain? Even the limitless demon lord, who was using the power of the Devil Star, was shocked. He knew of the existence of Sacred Lord Void Sky. Sacred Lord Void Sky was an invincible existence. Even if the limitless demon lord was at his peak, he wouldn't be a match for Sacred Lord Shu Tian. Fortunately, Sacred Master Shu Tian had disappeared before the limitless demon lord had arrived in the void world. However, the limitless demon lord knew of this invincible existence. At this moment, a powerful aura erupted from that ball of divine light, and an imposing figure appeared in the void. Roar! That person roared into the sky, and the entire world shook. That ball of divine light disappeared quickly, and it was all absorbed by this figure. Very quickly, all the divine light disappeared. Only a 9-foot-tall figure could be seen. His entire body seemed to be made of steel, and he gave off an extremely powerful feeling. Streaks of chaotic divine light revolved around his body. Terrifying chaotic energy surged from his body, and the void around him instantly shattered. The void where he stood seemed to be a world of chaos. Even heaven and earth can't contain that powerful body of his. Ji Fei was really stunned. High up in the sky, the limitless demon lord, who had countless devil stars in the sky, acted as if he was facing a great enemy. He could feel an immense pressure from that person. The blood-colored devil stars in the sky were the trump cards that the limitless demon lord had left in the void world. Even when he was fighting with Ji Fei, this fella didn't use this trump card. At this moment, he had no choice but to use this trump card. I was too careless. The limitless demon lord somewhat regretted coming to the Culmination Snow Mountain. Who would have thought that Sacred Master Shu Tian would appear here? The snow demon had already retreated. Boom! Suddenly, boundless chaotic energy surged from that person's body, and a terrifying pressure suddenly pressed down on Ji Fei's body. Cracks appeared one after another on the Culmination Snow Mountain below, and it looked like it was about to collapse. With the Culmination Snow Mountain as the center, all living beings within a radius of tens of thousands of miles were terrified. You aren't the void true body. The limitless demon lord stared at that demon body. At this moment, he suddenly said, "Not the true body." Ji Fei was shocked. He focused his gaze and indeed, although this figure was very strong and had a body of flesh and blood, it was lacking something. The soul power of this existence wasn't complete. There could only be one explanation for this problem. This person was just a clone and not the true body with a complete divine soul. Me. You scared me. The limitless demon lord heaved a sigh of relief. If this fella that suddenly jumped out of the snow mountain was really Sacred Master Void Sky, then he would definitely be dead. Now that the limitless demon lord realized that this fella wasn't the true body of Sacred Master Void Sky, he immediately became alert. It was just a clone. What was there to be afraid of? I want to see whether your chaotic divine body or my limitless undying demon body is stronger. The limitless demon lord shouted as he pressed forward with his right hand. Boundless sky-burning demon flames formed a demonic hand the size of a small mountain that pressed toward that person. Boom! This demonic hand gave off a terrifying ripple of energy that shook the heavens and earth. Boundless demonic energy surged as if it was the end of the world. A demonic realm appeared behind the limitless demon lord. Boundless demonic Tao energy surged toward him and was devoured by his body. His battle power soared. This was the benefit of controlling heaven and earth. Within heaven and earth, a cultivator's power could increase infinitely and unleash even stronger attacks than outside of heaven and earth. Sacred Master Void Sky's clone snickered coldly and casually pointed out a finger. A ball of chaotic divine light appeared at the tip of his finger and shot forward. The ball of chaotic divine light instantly expanded and covered heaven and earth after it flew out of the finger of Sacred Master Void Sky's clone. Boom! Boom! The space enveloped by the ball of chaotic light was collapsing, being destroyed, and turning into primal chaos. This clone of Sacred Lord Void Sky displayed great battle prowess. With a single finger, he shattered a part of the void, causing that part of the void to turn into primal chaos. Bam! The demonic hand that was the size of a small mountain instantly exploded. Boundless sky-burning demonic fire swept out in all directions. Even the void started to distort from the heat. The limitless demon lord's undying demon body was sent flying and smashed into the depths of the world behind him. However, he immediately charged out of his inner world with a roar. This was his world, his inner world. In this demonic realm, he was the ruler. Even though he used the power of heaven and earth for his own use, he was still forced back by his opponent. This made the limitless demon lord very depressed. Roar! The limitless demon lord roared in anger. His fire-like black hair danced wildly in the wind. His black hair then grew to 1,000 feet long. Every strand of hair was like a demonic dragon that shot toward Sacred Master Void Sky's clone with terrifying demonic fire. Boom! Sacred Master Void Sky's clone thrust out a palm, and the chaotic energy instantly surged forward. It directly shattered the 1,000 feet long demonic hair and sent the limitless demon lord flying. The power of heaven and earth in the limitless demon lord's inner world couldn't do anything to Sacred Master Void Sky's clone. Sacred Master Void Sky was like a Xiantian god that walked out from chaos. With a step, she instantly crossed 100 miles and appeared in the limitless demon lord's inner world. Roar! A terrifying demonic sound shook the entire true demon inner world. The limitless demon lord roared in anger. He charged over from afar and attacked Sacred Master Void Sky's clone. Only demons exist. With a furious roar, demonic aura surged out from the limitless demon lord's body and exploded. In an instant, the terrifying sky-burning demonic flames covered every inch of space in the demonic domain. Boom boom boom. The entire demonic realm shook violently. It was pitch black inside, and all that could be seen was the black demonic fire that burned the space. The limitless demon lord directly used the power of the demonic star in the sky. He wanted to use the power of the demonic star and use his inner world to destroy his opponent. However, Sacred Master Void Sky's clone was not to be trifled with. At the edge of the limitless demon lord's true demon world, pitch-black spatial cracks appeared. Sacred Master Void Sky's clone was simply too strong. Pang! Sacred Master Void Sky punched out and directly pierced through the limitless demon lord's inner world. What? The limitless demon lord was shocked. Even Jiu Fei was shocked. Sacred Master Void Sky pierced through the limitless demon lord's inner world with just one punch. This was something that even Jiu Fei couldn't do. Pang! Sacred Master Void Sky punched out again, and another huge tremor occurred. More spatial cracks appeared at the edge of the demonic realm. They were densely packed and looked like a spider web. It was as if an exquisite porcelain had been shattered. The limitless demon lord was truly shocked. This fellow was just an incarnation. An incarnation could fight against a true infinite prime? How was this possible? It was hard to imagine how strong Sacred Master Void Sky's true body was. Chapter 54:21. Bang! Within the demon domain that was filled with demon flames, another huge tremor could be heard. Then, As though something was broken, the true demon world created by the limitless demon lord had actually crumbled. Roar. A bone-chilling roar came from the collapsed world. Endless demonic light burst out and the entire world was filled with monstrous flames. The flames were as black as ink, causing the entire sky to sink into darkness. The limitless demon lord's inner world had actually been destroyed by the clone of sacred master Shu Tian. The unparalleled demon of this generation had suffered a huge blow. He rushed out of the collapsed inner world with disheveled hair and coughed out blood continuously. The true demon world created by the limitless demon lord had collapsed. The monstrous demonic flames were extremely dazzling in the sky above the snowy mountain. It was as if the entire sky was covered by black clouds, turning the day into night. The scorching energy scorched the earth, forming a stark contrast with the sun in the sky. High up in the sky, the demonic flames surged and surged violently. Although the pitch-black demonic flames emitted a black light, it was still dazzling and blinding. It was getting more and more intense, to the point where it was almost impossible to open one's eyes. A wave of limitless realm energy erupted from the top of the snowy mountain, stabilizing this part of the world. If not, the entire snowy mountain, or even the entire central sky, would have been destroyed by the terrifying energy that erupted from the true demon world. This lunatic. No, it's two lunatics, Jiyu Fei was truly shocked. Not to mention the limitless demon lord, even the clone of sacred master Shu Tian had attacked without any hesitation. This would cause the death of countless living beings. At this moment, the clone of sacred master Shu Tian had actually unleashed a great technique and was frantically devouring the demonic flames that had erupted. Roar. A demonic roar came from the endless demonic flames. Then, the surging demonic flames condensed into a 10,000-meter tall demonic figure. That demonic figure's head reached the sky and his feet stepped on the ground. A terrifying demonic aura emanated from his 10,000-meter tall demonic body. This demonic figure waved his mountain-like fist and punched toward sacred master Shu Tian's clone. When the mountain-like demonic fist blasted out, the entire void in front of the fist shook and transparent spatial ripples spread out in all directions. I'm invincible. Sacred Master Void Sky's incarnation was extremely powerful. He was like a chaotic god as he took a step forward and instantly appeared above the limitless demon master's head. He then pressed down from the sky. It was as if a part of the world was sinking. Bam! Following a loud explosion, the 10,000-meter tall demonic body that stood on the ground suddenly exploded. Endless demonic aura engulfed the sky and earth. Sacred Master Void Sky's chaotic divine body was like a bottomless pit that was frantically devouring the vast true demon aura. This was the true demon chi of the infinite level. At this moment, Sacred Master Void Sky's incarnation was like a hungry ghost that had been starving for countless years. Regardless of whether it was demonic aura or other heaven and earth spiritual energy, it was being devoured. The limitless demon lord was the sovereign of the demon Tao, the lord of all demons. He wanted to seize the power of all living beings for his own use, but at this time, the incarnation of sacred master Shu Tian wanted to refine his true demon power into his own. This was really using the limitless demon master's Tao against the limitless demon master's body. The limitless demon master was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. This chaotic divine body is incredible. Jiyu Fei, who was watching the show from afar, stared at sacred master Void Sky's incarnation. The chaotic power could refine all the heaven and earth spiritual energy in the world. This was the terrifying power of the chaotic divine body. The chaotic divine body could absorb an endless amount of Yuan Qi. Whether it was demonic aura, deathly aura, or demonic aura, it could refine everything and turn it into the most primitive chaotic power. No one would have thought that sacred Master Void Sky would leave such an incarnation in the culmination snow mountain. I'm invincible in the limitless realm. How can I not deal with a mere incarnation? The limitless demon master was going crazy. He waved his hands towards the sky, and the demonic clouds that enveloped the sky immediately parted. At this moment, the countless demonic stars in the sky had already formed an incomparably huge starry sky formation. Every demonic star was emitting a strange and terrifying blood-red light. The limitless demon master had been waiting for this moment. Only the limitless demon master could use stars to form a formation in a place like the void realm, where the heaven and earth energy was incomparably strong. Even Jiyu Fei might not be able to use stars to form a formation in the void realm. This lunatic, Jiyu Fei raised his head and looked at the demonic stars in the sky. His expression was incomparably solemn. An extremely terrifying demonic aura descended from the sky. All the living beings in the void realm raised their heads and looked at the sky in fear. All the living beings in the void realm could see this strange and terrifying scene in the sky. This caused panic in the entire void realm. This, southern barbarian, which race ancestral ground? The witch emperor raised his head and looked at the sky. The blood-red sky seemed to be pressing down on the ground. The blood-red stars in the sky made this peerless witch emperor feel as if his soul was trembling. Eastern barbarian, Eastern Sun City. Long Xiaoju rushed into the sky. When he saw the scene in the sky, he was stunned. The monarchs of the West Sea and the North Ruins domain were also staring at the seemingly chaotic blood-colored stars in the sky in fear and alarm. This is going to be troublesome. West Sea Old Dragon Emperor raised his head and looked at the sky with an incomparably solemn expression. The limitless demon master was almost driven mad by Sacred Master Shu Tian's clone. Otherwise, he would not have used his most powerful trump card. Countless years ago, he had used the stars in the sky to form the great astral demonic formation. This was the first time he used this super formation. This super formation definitely had the terrifying power to destroy the world. Once it was activated, it could directly threaten the entire void realm. Is he going to stop everyone from playing? Jiyu Fei muttered. If the limitless demon master destroyed the void realm, no one would be able to continue playing. Stop him! Shui Yaro shouted at Jiyu Fei. She directly rushed towards the limitless demon master. At the same time, Sacred Master Shu Tian's clone also attacked the limitless demon master. Swoosh! Jiyu Fei rushed into the sky and directly entered the starry sky. Then, he punched out. Boom! A demonic star was directly destroyed by him. It turned into a ball of bloody light and dissipated in the void. Destroying a demonic star was actually nothing to the entire great astral demonic formation. However, Jiyu Fei continued to attack. Huge stars were directly destroyed by him. This way, the power of the great astral demonic formation was affected. You bastard! When the limitless demon lord caught sight of this, he burst out with vulgarities and cursed out. He wanted to stop Jiyu Fei, but he was blocked by Sacred Master Shu Tian's clone and Shui Yao. After a round of fighting, he was entangled by these two experts and could not escape. Chapter 54:22. Sacred Lord Void Sky's primal chaos clone was actually hiding in the culmination snow mountain. This surprised Jiyu Fei. One had to know that Sacred Lord Void Sky was a super antique in the Void Realm. It could be said that he was the ancestor of the entire Void Realm. Although he had disappeared, the clone he left behind was extremely powerful. The limitless demon lord didn't expect that Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone could fight with him. How could a clone be so powerful? This overturned the limitless demon lord's understanding of clones. He had never thought that clones could be so powerful. At this time, Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone and the snow demon worked together to stop the limitless demon lord from escaping. In this way, Jiyu Fei would be able to easily destroy the blood-colored demonic stars in the sky and destroy the starry sky formation. That demon is a madman. Jiyu Fei couldn't help but be shocked by the limitless demon lord's actions. He was using the stars as chess pieces to set up the formation. In a place like the Void Realm where the power of heaven and earth was so strong, using stars to set up a formation was definitely not an easy task. If this demonic formation was activated, the entire Void Realm would probably be destroyed. No one would be able to survive. This was why the limitless demon lord was too ruthless. Preposterous. Do you think that I can't control the formation like this? The limitless demon lord was furious. In the next moment, every demonic star in the sky suddenly exploded with a powerful demonic light. A huge demonic shadow appeared in the sky. The demonic shadow controlled the demonic formation, and the entire formation actually continued to operate. An unimaginably terrifying demonic power quickly condensed in the sky. Clone. Ji Fei stared at the demonic shadow in the demonic formation and couldn't help but frown. At this time, countless devil stars linked together, interweaving into countless array patterns. These array patterns then formed into ancient array diagrams. The power of the entire sky was activated. Buzz. The void shook. Ji Fei was actually sent flying by the power of the starry sky formation. Although he had destroyed dozens of demonic stars, the power of the formation wasn't affected much. This is troublesome. Ji Fei was also a little stunned. He didn't expect this guy to have this move. The limitless demon lord actually left behind an incarnation in this starry sky great demonic formation. With this incarnation, it was equivalent to the limitless demon master personally controlling the demonic formation. The might that the demonic formation erupted with would not be much weaker. Looks like I can have some fun again. Ji Fei stretched his back. In the next moment, a powerful wave of Yuan Qi erupted from his body, causing the entire starry sky to tremble. This was the energy ripple of an infinite prime. Little fellow, when Mo Ying, who was sitting in the demon subduing array, saw Ji Fei, the corners of his mouth curled into a sneer. I'm the little guy, and you're the big guy. Ji Fei sneered. You can still smile when you're about to die. Within the demonic formation, the limitless demon lord's incarnation directly activated the formation. Boom. The entire snowy mountain shook, and the mountain top even exploded. The mighty power of the demonic path shook the heavens and the earth, causing the entire ground to tremble. Countless living beings were terrified to the extreme. Even the limitless demon lord, sacred master void sky, and snow demon, who were fighting in the sky, had no choice but to retreat. Extreme breaking fist. Ji Fei did not hold back and immediately struck out with the strongest fist he could. This was the extreme breaking fist, and the might of this fist surpassed his limits. Boom. This fist of Ji Fei was simply indestructible. With a loud bang, a huge hole appeared in the starry sky great demonic formation. The formation was collapsing, and countless demonic patterns were dissipating. There was nothing that could block this fist of Ji Fei. Nothing could remain intact under this fist of his. This was the destruction fist. When Ji Fei was fighting with the limitless demon lord previously, although he used the Ascension secret technique, he did not use this fist. When the limitless demon lord saw this unbelievable scene, he could not help but be shocked. This fella actually struck out with such a powerful fist. How was this possible? At this moment, the limitless demon lord realized that he had underestimated Ji Fei. This fist of Ji Fei was invincible and actually pierced through the entire starry sky great demonic formation. This caused Snow Demon and Sacred Master Void Sky's incarnation to be blinded. The strength of the starry sky great demonic formation plummeted. The incarnation of the limitless demon lord, who was in charge of the starry sky great demonic formation, was also shocked. Even his main body might not be able to withstand such a strong fist. Rumble. Countless demonic stars were collapsing. The entire super starry sky great demonic formation was destroyed by Ji Fei's fist. You dare to destroy my formation? The limitless demon lord was infuriated. Back then, he had put in so much effort to set up this starry sky formation. But now, this formation of his was nearly destroyed by Ji Fei. TSK, why wouldn't I dare? Ji Fei shrugged his shoulders. At this moment, within the formation, the incarnation of the limitless demon lord waved his right hand, and many blood-colored demonic stars were smashed towards Ji Fei. The gigantic demonic stars seemed to be able to crush the void. Ji Fei stretched out his right hand, and the demonic stars that were smashing towards him immediately shrunk. Then, he grabbed them in his hand. The gigantic demonic stars were actually turned into dozens of blood-colored beads. I'll return them to you. Ji Fei waved his right hand, and the demonic beads in his hand were smashed back towards the incarnation of the limitless demon lord. The incarnation of the limitless demon lord laughed coldly. In the next moment, The dozens of demonic beads that were smashing towards him exploded in the void 3 feet in front of him. A terrifying destructive force exploded out, but this force was directly devoured by the power of the formation. This, Jiyu Fei was shocked. This demonic formation could still devour energy. Moreover, Jiyu Fei also discovered that the formation that was smashed by his fist was actually rapidly repairing itself. Even the demonic stars that were destroyed by him were reassembling. This formation can actually repair itself. Jiyu Fei was very shocked. Kill. The incarnation of the limitless demon lord directly charged out from the demonic formation. TSK. Jiyu Fei punched out, and the incarnation of the limitless demon lord directly exploded, turning into an extremely powerful demonic energy fluctuation. He then opened his mouth and sucked, and actually devoured this unimaginably powerful demonic energy into his body. How comfortable. Jiyu Fei was very satisfied. However, the limitless demon lord was about to go crazy. That was an incarnation that he had spent a lot of effort to refine. Such a powerful incarnation was actually killed by Jiyu Fei. This caused the limitless demon lord to feel extremely depressed. Kill. The limitless demon lord wanted to kill Jiyu Fei. Your opponent is me. Chapter 54-23. Jiyu Fei flew into a rage. He directly blasted apart the limitless demon lord's incarnation with a single punch. Then, he swallowed the energy of the incarnation. This energy was extremely powerful. It was definitely at the infinite grade. After devouring such a huge amount of demonic energy, Jiyu Fei felt like his body was swelling up. How comfortable. The demonic energy in Jiyu Fei's body was quickly refined into his own energy. In the eyes of others, this demonic energy was definitely fatal. However, to Jiyu Fei, this demonic energy was much more useful than any immortal medicine. The demonic nature contained in the demonic energy was directly expelled by Jiyu Fei. Even an extreme Dao-level demonic nature couldn't affect him at all. If it was anyone else, the demonic nature of the limitless demon lord's clone would be enough to kill them, let alone other things. You bastard, how dare you destroy my clone? The limitless demon lord was instantly enraged. His clone was extraordinary, and he had spent a lot of effort on it. After all, a clone was just a clone. It was definitely not easy to cultivate a clone to the infinite grade. Moreover, the vast and boundless yuan qi that gathered in the starry sky was originally prepared by the limitless demon master for himself. Now, this power had been devoured by Jiyu Fei. This made him go crazy. He had planned for countless years, but in the end, it had all gone to someone else. How could he not be furious? If he could fuse with his clone, his battle prowess would definitely soar, and he might even be able to break through to the peak of the infinite grade. By then, even if he returned to the infinite realm, he would be able to become an overlord. But now, it was all over. It was not easy to break through to the peak of the infinite grade. The limitless demon lord's cultivation had been stuck at the peak of the infinite grade for countless years. Of course, time was the cheapest thing for the limitless demon lord. As long as he did not seek death, he could live forever. The furious limitless demon lord wanted to charge into space and fight to the death with Jiyu Fei. However, a figure blocked the limitless demon lord. Your opponent is me. The snow demon sent a palm strike towards the limitless demon lord. A terrifying power of extreme cold erupted from her palm, freezing everything in its path. With the protection of the limitless demon lord's heaven-burning devil fire, all the frigid palm energy that was surging towards him was blocked by the heaven-burning devil fire. Kill. There was nothing more to say. Let's just do it. Countless demonic flames rushed out of the limitless demon lord's body, turning into demonic dragons that pounced towards the snow demon ferociously. Every demonic dragon formed by the demonic flames seemed to be able to tear apart the void of heaven and earth. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Shui Yarrow was furious. A divine orb rose from the top of her head, and the entire world seemed to be frozen in an instant. Countless demonic dragons that were charging at her were all frozen in the void. What? The limitless demon lord was incomparably shocked. The snow demon actually had such a treasure. It's the hailstone divine pearl. Sacred Master Void Sky's clone was shocked. The Hailstone Divine Pearl was no ordinary doctrine treasure. It was an infinite-grade doctrine treasure. Once the Divine Pearl appeared, the Snow Demon's battle prowess immediately increased by a level. The Snow Demon snapped her fingers. Then, the demonic dragons that were frozen by the Hailstone Divine Pearl all shattered and disappeared into the void. At this moment, Sacred Master Void Sky's clone also rushed towards the Limitless Demon Lord. The Snow Demon and Sacred Master Void Sky's clone directly attacked the Limitless Demon Lord. No matter how strong the Limitless Demon Lord was, he didn't dare to be careless when faced with two infinite-grade existences. At this moment, Gu Fei, who was in the Starry Sky, actually rushed into the Starry Sky Great Demonic Formation. The Starry Sky Great Demonic Formation, which had already been broken by Gu Fei's punch, was continuously repairing itself. This wasn't a good thing for everyone. It should be known that once the demonic formation was repaired, it would be a threat to the entire Void Realm. Gu Fei rushed into the super great demonic formation because he had his eyes on the extremely strong power that was condensed by the super great demonic formation. If he could even devour the power of the super great demonic formation, his cultivation might be able to break through to the infinite grade. This made Gu Fei jealous. However, when Gu Fei rushed into the super great demonic formation, he discovered that there were many demonic figures standing inside. Gu Fei was stunned. Were these guys also the clones of the Limitless Demon Lord? Actually, Gu Fei's guess was right. The Limitless Demon Lord didn't only leave one clone in this formation. Instead, there was one clone in each of the formation eyes. However, these incarnations didn't have divine will. They were just demonic bodies. Once the Limitless Demon Lord divided his divine will into these demonic bodies would immediately become terrifying killing tools. However, the Limitless Demon Lord didn't have the time to divide his divine will to control these demonic bodies. This way, Gu Fei would benefit from it. In the next moment, countless divine wills rushed out from between his eyebrows. These divine wills rushed into the bodies of the demonic figures in the formation eyes. Then, these demonic figures all opened their blood-red eyes and came to life. Then, these demonic figures all exploded on the spot. That's right, they exploded on the spot. These demonic figures were originally distributed in the various formation eyes of the super great demonic formation and were nourished by the endless demonic power. At this time, these demonic figures actually exploded on the spot. As a result, the entire super great demonic formation collapsed. Countless demonic patterns directly dissipated in the void. Balls of demonic light exploded in the super great demonic formation. Terrifying destructive power was released and directly destroyed everything. He's crazy. The Limitless Demon Lord was furious. At this time, the madman Gu Fei sat in the center of the super great demonic formation and crazily devoured the huge amount of origin energy around him. Awesome. Haha. This demonic power was simply too strong. This made it difficult for Gu Fei to endure. However, Gu Fei's martial body was extremely strong, so he could still endure this power. Very soon, the entire super great demonic formation collapsed and could no longer repair itself. The entire starry sky was enveloped by the terrifying destructive power. Countless stars shattered in the void and everything was destroyed by the explosive power. Even the void was blasted into countless spatial holes. A vortex appeared in the center of the void of destruction, and the boundless destruction energy frantically gathered towards the vortex. That guy is really crazy. Even Sacred Lord Shu Tian raised her head in shock and looked at the scene in the starry sky. Chapter 54-24. In the starry sky of the Void Realm, even Sacred Master Shu Tian's clone was shocked by Gu Fei's crazy actions. This fellow was simply crazy. Gu Fei had detonated the entire super demonic formation, and a terrifying destructive force erupted. The entire starry sky was affected, and countless stars exploded. This was simply destroying the heavens and earth. At this moment, the emperors of the 5 regions in the Void Realm were all alarmed. They all rushed out and raised their heads to look at the terrifying scene in the sky. Blood-colored demonic light covered the entire starry sky. Huge spatial cracks appeared in the starry sky like black lightning bolts. These spatial cracks existed for a very short period of time. This was because the laws of heaven and earth in the void realm were very strong. Once the spatial cracks appeared, they would immediately be repaired by the laws of heaven and earth. It was not an easy task to destroy this world. Even an unbounded level of power could shatter the void here. However, it was still difficult to destroy the entire void realm. They would have to pay a huge price, a price that even the unbounded demon lord was not willing to pay. At this moment, a huge energy whirlpool appeared in the center of the vast destructive force in the starry sky. A powerful devouring force surged out of the whirlpool and devoured the surrounding destructive force. Even some incomplete demonic patterns and demonic diagrams were devoured by this black hole. A figure was sitting in the center of this black hole whirlpool. This person was Jiyu Fei. He was extremely excited. If he could devour this destructive force, his cultivation would be able to break through to the unbounded demon lord. At that time, he would be able to fight against the unbounded demon lord even without using the Sky Ascension secret technique. If he used the Sky Ascension secret technique, wouldn't he be able to defeat the unbounded demon lord? At that moment, Jiyu Fei's powerful will enveloped the entire starry sky, controlling this destructive power. Should he allow this destructive power to spread out in all directions? If that happened, not a single star could be seen in the starry sky anymore. Roar! The unbounded demon lord roared. He wanted to rush into the starry sky to take back his power, but he was being held back by the snow demon and sacred master Shu Tian's clones. U2B ****, the limitless demon lord was infuriated. Countless blood-colored demonic threads shot out from his body and wrapped around snow demon and sacred master Void Sky's clones. Each blood-red demonic thread streaked across the void at high speed. Wherever it passed, an extremely tiny spatial crack would appear. These spatial cracks instantly disappeared. If one did not have a strong enough spiritual will, they would not be able to sense that the blood-colored demonic threads that shot out from the limitless demon lord's body could actually cut through the void. Buzz! A ball of divine light appeared on sacred Lord Void Sky's incarnation. This ball of divine light directly enveloped him and blocked the blood-colored demonic silk outside his body. Shui Yarrow activated the Ice Soul Pearl above her head. A terrifying power of extreme coldness surged out of the pearl. The space around her was frozen by the extreme coldness. Countless blood-colored demonic threads wrapped around her, but all of them stopped 3 feet away from her. With another snap of his fingers, the blood-colored demonic threads 3 feet away from the snow demon's body shattered and dissipated in the void. Myriad incarnations, Chenkuan chaos. The limitless demon lord roared. In the next moment, countless demonic shadows rushed out from his body and rushed in all directions. He wanted to escape from the joint attack of these two limitless demon lords. This fellow, Shui Yarrow and Sacred Master Void Sky's incarnation were stunned. The limitless demon lord looked like he was going all out. Who would have thought that this fellow would actually pretend to go all out and escape? The limitless demon lord's move was really effective. Even if Shui Yarrow and Sacred Master Void Sky's incarnation used their full strength, they would not be able to stop this demon. Boom! Sacred Master Void Sky's incarnation even shook. The surrounding void shattered and the blood-colored demonic threads around him were directly shattered. He stretched out his hand, and a huge hand appeared in the sky. He grabbed the countless demonic shadows in his hand and crushed them. Shui Yarrow also made a move. The Ice Soul Divine Pearl floating above her head released endless divine light. As long as the demonic shadows were illuminated by the divine light, they would instantly be frozen and shattered in the void. The power of this carnate Wuji treasure was truly heaven-defying. In the hands of Shui Yarrow, the power of this carnate Wuji treasure was even more shocking. However, even if they used their full strength, dozens of demonic shadows still managed to escape. The dozens of demonic figures soared into the sky and rushed into the starry sky, diving into the terrifying destructive force. Then, the huge destructive power was crazily devoured by another force. The limitless demon lord and Jiyu Fei were fighting over this destructive power. Jiyu Fei, who was sitting cross-legged in the void and devouring the destructive power around him, suddenly opened his eyes. Those two fellas are too useless. They can't even hold that demon back when they work together. Ji Fei was really speechless. Little fella, how dare you spoil my plans? I'm going to tear you into pieces. The limitless demon lord's voice rang out in Ji Fei's mind. A terrifying spiritual will directly locked onto Ji Fei. TSK, who's afraid of who? Ji Fei didn't care. Even if this fella wasn't killed by Shui Yarrow and Sacred Master Void Sky's incarnation, he would definitely be severely injured. Why would he be afraid of a demon like him? Swoosh. A demonic shadow broke through the layers of destructive power and appeared in front of Ji Fei. Then, it punched towards Ji Fei. A violent fist force erupted from this demonic figure, shaking the heavens and the earth. Bam! Ji Fei, who was sitting cross-legged in the void, extended his right hand and blocked the demonic shadow's punch. I'll devour you too. Ji Fei grabbed the demonic shadow's fist. In the next moment, a powerful devouring power exploded from his right hand. The demonic power of the demonic shadow immediately surged towards him. What? The demonic shadow was shocked. He wanted to retract his fist, but it was too late. In just an instant, the demonic shadow became faint and illusory. Very quickly, the demonic shadow dissipated. It had actually been devoured by Ji Fei. Not bad. Ji Fei let out a long breath. This breath was a gust of black qi. It was the demonic nature that he had yet to refine, and he spat it out. Refining the demonic nature of an unbounded demon wasn't something that could be done in a short period of time. Therefore, Ji Fei forced the demonic nature out of his body. At this moment, Ji Fei was already in a mysterious state where his cultivation was about to break through but hadn't broken through yet. However, the limitless demon lord had already arrived. He was fighting with Ji Fei for this power. Chapter 54-25. The limitless demon lord was so depressed that he was about to vomit blood. He had painstakingly set up a backup plan for countless years, but now, it had become someone else's wedding dress. This almost drove him, an unparalleled great demon, crazy. The limitless demon lord charged into space. At this moment, the entire star demonic formation had collapsed and turned into a destructive force that covered the entire space. This force was definitely at the limitless demon lord. It had not been refined by the laws of heaven and earth in the void realm. However, the limitless demon lord could clearly sense that his power was rapidly disappearing. Needless to say, that little fellow, Ji Fei, was devouring his power. Preposterous. The limitless demon lord frantically devoured this destructive force. At the same time, he created a few clones that charged towards where Ji Fei was. However, the current Ji Fei was not the Ji Fei who had fought against the limitless demon lord. He had devoured one of the clones and now he was devouring a large amount of destructive force. Ji Fei's current cultivation was between the middle stage of the limitless demon lord and the upper stage of the limitless demon lord. He was only half a step away from breaking through to the upper stage of the limitless demon lord. How could the clones of the limitless demon lord do anything to Ji Fei? Ji Fei directly devoured one of the clones of the limitless demon lord. At this moment, another two demonic figures appeared near Ji Fei. However, they hid at the side and were not in a hurry to attack. Ji Fei couldn't be bothered with the two demonic shadows. He was at a crucial point in his cultivation. His cultivation could break through to the upper stage of the limitless demon lord at any time. As long as he could break through to the upper stage of the limitless demon lord, he would not be afraid of anyone and could do whatever he wanted in the void realm. At this moment, the Snow Yarrow and Sacred Lord Void Sky's clones did not charge into space. The destructive force in space was a problem for them. They were not as sick as Ji Fei, who could ignore the demonic nature. Both the Snow Yarrow and Sacred Lord Void Sky were afraid of the limitless demon lord's demonic nature. Two lunatics. The snow demon raised her head to look at the destructive power in the sky. Her expression was extremely cold. Of course, her expression was always cold. Let's see which of these two fellows is stronger. Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone immediately charged down from the sky and disappeared from the culmination snow mountain. Hey, you're leaving just like that. Shui Yarrow was shocked when she saw this. If the big devil came back, she might not be able to stop the devil by herself. Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone did not say anything. At this moment, two powerful devouring forces were frantically devouring the destructive energy in the starry sky. Limitless Demon Lord, send a few more clones over. Gu Fei shouted towards the Limitless Demon Lord. You little bastard. The Limitless Demon Lord was enraged. Boom. At this moment, the two demonic shadows lurking near Gu Fei suddenly attacked. Go to hell. One of the demonic shadows bellowed and sent a palm strike towards Gu Fei. Rumble. The destructive energy nearby was attracted by the palm strike of the demonic shadow. All of it headed towards Gu Fei, causing the destructive energy around Gu Fei to boil. Kill. The other demonic shadow roared, kill. Then, he pointed a finger and a blood-colored demonic light pierced through the space between Gu Fei's eyebrows. Haha, you're sending me more power? How can I accept this? Gu Fei laughed. In the next moment, his body trembled. In the next moment, the entire void collapsed, and all the attacks were devoured by him. Even the two demonic shadows were devoured by Gu Fei. They instantly dissipated in the void and turned into two demonic forces that were devoured by Gu Fei. The Limitless Demon Lord was really going crazy. Buzz. At this moment, a loud sound came from Gu Fei's body. It was as if something in his body had been broken. Then, an unprecedentedly powerful devouring force erupted from his body. What? When the Limitless Demon Lord sensed this energy fluctuation, he couldn't help being startled. This fellow was simply a monster amongst monsters. No one expected that Gu Fei would actually break through the shackles of cultivation at this moment. His cultivation actually took that crucial step forward. Rumble. The sky shook and the laws of heaven and earth in the entire void realm were shaken. From this moment onwards, Gu Fei no longer needed to borrow the power of the minor void realm. He no longer feared the laws of heaven and earth in the void realm. Because when his cultivation broke through to the great completion of the limitless realm, the laws of heaven and earth in the void realm could no longer suppress him. Master, even the limitless fire spirit in the eastern wilderness could sense Gu Fei's aura. This aura, Palace Lord Ling Tian, who appeared near the Sky Royal City, wanted to enter. However, she suddenly stopped and looked in the direction of the Sky Culmination Snow Mountain. Yu Xian also appeared in the sky above the Sky Royal City. Maybe we can leave this damned place now. Yu Xian also looked in the direction of the Sky Clan. There was an ancient teleportation array in the ancestral grounds of the Sky Clan. Previously, when Gu Fei was in the Sky Clan, he wanted to activate the super teleportation array. However, he didn't have the cultivation to activate it at that time. But now it was different. The great completion of the limitless realm, Gu Fei definitely had the power to activate the great formation in the ancestral grounds of the Sky Clan. At this moment, all the creatures in the void realm knelt in the direction of the Sky Snow Mountain in fear. It was as if they were worshipping the supreme god in their hearts. I finally broke through. Gu Fei was surprised and happy. He didn't expect that after devouring the two clones of the Limitless Demon Lord, his cultivation actually broke through to the great completion of the limitless realm. Although the middle stage of the limitless realm and the great completion of the limitless realm were separated by a small realm, the difference was like the clouds and mud. The great completion of the limitless realm could easily abuse Gu Fei. If Gu Fei didn't have such a heaven-defying secret technique like the Heaven Ascension secret technique, he would have been in deep trouble during the battle with the limitless realm. Even though the Limitless Demon Lord was injured by the Snow Demon and Sacred Master Void Skies clones, if Gu Fei's cultivation was still at the middle stage of the limitless realm, he still wouldn't be able to defeat the Limitless Demon Lord. However, the current Gu Fei was different from the past. Kill. The Limitless Demon Lord couldn't care less about devouring the destructive energy around him. He roared, broke through the layers of destructive energy, and charged towards Gu Fei. He wouldn't let Gu Fei have the chance to consolidate his cultivation. Gu Fei's cultivation had just broken through to the great completion of the limitless realm. His realm wasn't stable yet, and he still needed to devour endless energy to refine the limitless martial body. The limitless demon lord knew that if he let Ji Fei live past today, he wouldn't be able to suppress this human anymore. Haha, good timing. I was just looking for you to practice. Ji Fei roared out in laughter as he charged towards the limitless demon lord. The limitless demon lord wouldn't have expected that Ji Fei was an limitless realm martial artist. He was able to consolidate his cultivation and refine his martial body in battle. Boom! The two silhouettes collided with each other in an instant, resulting in an earth-shattering explosion. The surrounding destructive power was instantly dispersed by the explosive power. The limitless demon lord was both shocked and enraged. This fella must have devoured the endless energy that he had gathered with his formation, which was why he could break through to the great completion of the limitless realm. This time around, he had truly made a wedding dress for someone else. If he could devour this energy, his cultivation might even be able to break through his current shackles and rush into the peak of the limitless realm. But now, not only was he severely injured, his cultivation base had dropped significantly. Even his backup plan had been destroyed. The setup within the void world was the limitless demon lord's greatest trump card. But now, this trump card of the limitless demon lord was completely destroyed. He really wanted to tear Ji Fei into a million pieces. However, it seemed like he couldn't tear Ji Fei into a million pieces anymore. Boom! Bam! The two figures moved quickly in the starry sky, clashing continuously. The terrifying collision sounds were earth-shattering. All living beings in the middle sky could hear it. Countless living beings were terrified to the extreme. This was especially true for those experts. Even their souls were trembling. You want to kill me? Ji Fei's battle intent surged as he clashed head-on with the limitless demon lord. He was using the limitless demon lord's strength to train himself. In the void world, where else could he find such a perfect opponent like the limitless demon lord? This fella is really sick. Shui Yarrow retreated far away to watch the battle. She didn't expect Ji Fei to break through his cultivation shackles at this time and reach the great completion of the limitless realm. This was really the biggest surprise of the day. This fella, at the peak of the Middle Sky Snow Mountain, Sacred Lord Shu Tian's clone, who was sitting cross-legged on a large rock, had a bright look in his eyes. He seemed to be calculating something. Ji Fei's appearance had broken the arrangements of the strongest existences in this world. To the limitless demon lord, he was definitely the most unlucky one. However, to Sacred Lord Shu Tian's clone and Shui Yarrow, this wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Bam! The limitless demon lord ruthlessly slammed his palm on Ji Fei's left shoulder. However, at the same time, Ji Fei's fist also landed solidly on the limitless demon lord's left chest. In the next moment, the two figures flew backwards. Ji Fei stabilized his body and looked down. He saw a black palm print on his left shoulder. This palm print was emitting black demonic energy. To ordinary living beings, demonic energy was also something fatal. However, to Ji Fei, this was nothing. He directly swallowed, refined, and absorbed the demonic power that invaded his body. The limitless demon lord stabilized his body and looked at his left chest. He saw that the muscles and bones on his left chest had collapsed inwards. This was a fist print. The limitless demon lord used his mystic technique. The fist print on his chest quickly disappeared. Very soon, it completely disappeared. Again. Chapter 54-26. In the depths of space above the sky-piercing snow mountain, two powerful figures were moving quickly and fighting intensely. Terrifying ripples of energy spread out in all directions. Countless beings in the sky-piercing snow mountain and even the void realm trembled under the pressure of these two supreme auras. Infinite primes were unrivaled experts in the void realm. In the entire void realm, not a single being could break through to the infinite prime realm. All the infinite primes in the void realm were outsiders. Whether it was Ji Fei, the limitless demon lord, the Snow Yarrow, or Sacred Master Void Sky, they were all outsiders. Over the years, the strongest beings in the void realm were only at the transcendent emperor realm, which was the eternal realm. It was far too difficult to break through to the infinite prime realm. As Ji Fei broke through to the complete stage of the infinite realm, Sacred Master Void Sky's clone, the Snow Yarrow, and the limitless demon lord saw hope. No one was willing to stay in a place like the void realm. They wanted to go back to the great world where there was no life and death. That was the true stage for supreme infinite primes like them, whether it was the Snow Yarrow, Sacred Master Void Sky's clone, the limitless demon lord, Yuxian or Palace Master Ling Tian, they all wanted to leave the void realm. However, due to various reasons, they couldn't leave the void realm. That was until Ji Yufei appeared. Kill. Kill. Ji Yufei and the limitless demon lord fought with their lives on the line. Both of them were covered in wounds. However, their battle intent was high and they didn't have any intentions of stopping. These two madmen. The Snow Yarrow was speechless when she saw this. At this level of cultivation, it was easy to determine victory and defeat, but it was difficult to determine life and death. This was because it was very difficult for infinite primes to die. Before, the Snow Yarrow and Sacred Master Void Sky's clone could only heavily injure the limitless demon lord. They weren't able to kill the limitless demon lord even if they teamed up. Plus, they couldn't kill the limitless demon lord. Although Ji Yufei's cultivation had reached the complete stage of the infinite realm, it wasn't easy to kill the limitless demon lord. We can't continue fighting like this. Should we ask them to stop? Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone appeared beside the snow demon. How? Will they listen to you? The snow demon said coldly. Even if we work together, we still can't stop them. Sacred Master Void Sky's clone said proudly. One had to know that his main body was the primogenitor of this world. The entire cultivation system of the Void Realm was established by his main body. However, his original body had been gone for a long time. If Sacred Master Shu Tian's main body was here, the limitless demon lord wouldn't dare to be so arrogant. You're right. The snow demon nodded. If they joined forces, they would have the ability to stop this battle between these two fellows. Let them fight to their heart's content first. The snow demon did not want to make a move. Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone was speechless. If these two fellows were to fight to the death, it would affect their plan. They had been plotting for countless years. What was it for? Didn't he just want to return to the limitless realm? If the limitless demon lord and Ji Yufei were to fight to the death, it wouldn't benefit anyone. An hour later, Ji Yufei and the limitless demon lord were still fighting. 2 hours passed. 4 hours passed. They were still fighting without stopping. Have these two fellows really gone crazy? This time, even the snow demon was speechless. As for Ji Yufei and the limitless demon lord, there wasn't a single part of their bodies that wasn't injured. However, the recovery ability of Ji Yufei's limitless martial body was indeed shocking. This was especially so after his cultivation broke through to the limitless realm. The injuries on his body were healing at a speed visible to the naked eye. It's time to stop. Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone said. The snow demon nodded. Then what are we waiting for? Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone said. Then let's make a move. As the snow demon spoke, a ball of divine light rushed out from her body. In the next instant, this ball of divine light rushed into the starry sky. The snow demon's figure also disappeared. Swoosh! Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone took a step forward and also disappeared into the void. One move to decide life and death. The limitless demon lord roared. The demonic power in his body started to boil. Ancient demonic patterns appeared on his body. At this moment, his battle power soared to the extreme. The terrifying demonic aura swept across the sky and the earth. Countless living beings were terrified to the extreme. Very good. Ji Yufei also didn't want to continue fighting. One move to decide life and death was one move to decide life and death. The essence chi on Ji Yufei's body also soared to the extreme. However, he didn't use the Heaven Ascension secret technique. The entire starry sky shook violently under the impact of these two powerful essence chis. The entire sky seemed like it was going to collapse. It was like the end of the world had arrived. Just as the two powerhouses were about to go all out, two figures suddenly appeared between them in the next moment. What? The limitless demon lord went crazy when he saw these two fellas. What's the meaning of this? Do you really want to fight to the death? The limitless demon lord roared at the two of them. Old demon, don't be angry. Sacred Master Void Sky's clone said calmly. Don't be angry, your head. The limitless demon lord scolded. Me. The snow yarrow laughed coldly. She didn't say anything, but a cold aura spread from her body. The surrounding void seemed like it was going to freeze. Haha, now that it's 3 against 1, you're dead for sure. Ji Fei was happy. What? The limitless demon lord was stunned. The situation was very disadvantageous to him. If these fellas really ganged up on him, he would really be in danger. Go. Ji Fei said to the snow yarrow and Sacred Master Void Sky's clone. Old demon, how about we just let it go? Sacred Master Void Sky's clone said. Just let it go. You make it sound so easy. The limitless demon lord was unhappy. Then what do you want? The snow yarrow's cold voice sounded. Tell this fella to spit out all my things and apologize verbally. Then, I might consider letting it go. The limitless demon lord said angrily. Che, no one has ever been able to take back the things that are in this daddy's hands. Ji Fei said in disdain. Then there's no room for discussion. A shocking killing intent surged from the limitless demon lord's body. Alright, do you still want to go back or not? Sacred Master Void Sky's clone was getting impatient. The limitless demon lord didn't say anything. He simply couldn't swallow this anger. However, he had to swallow it even if he couldn't. After all, everything they did was to return. Chapter 54:27. Things were really out of his expectations. Ji Fei didn't expect Sacred Master Shu Tian's incarnation and Snow Demon to be acquainted with the limitless demon master. Furthermore, from the looks of it, the 3 of them didn't seem to have a life and death grudge. This was because they didn't seem to have any intention of teaming up with Ji Fei to fight the limitless demon lord. This way, even if Ji Fei wanted to kill the limitless demon lord, he wouldn't be able to. He could tell that they wouldn't let him fight the limitless demon lord anymore. This is a bit of a scheme. Ji Fei looked at Snow Yarrow and Sacred Lord Void Sky's incarnation. What scheme? I don't want to play with schemes. The limitless demon lord laughed coldly. Is that so? Ji Fei smiled and didn't say anything. Okay, that's it. Old demon, go back first. I'll find you later. Sacred Lord Void Sky's incarnation said to the limitless demon lord. The limitless demon lord stared at Ji Fei for a while before turning around and leaving. What are you looking at? Ji Fei pointed his middle finger in the direction that the limitless demon lord disappeared in. Now, let's talk about your matter. Sacred Lord Void Sky's incarnation said to Ji Fei. My matter? What matter? Ji Fei was still devouring the destructive power that hadn't dissipated yet. The wounds on his body were healing quickly. The recovery speed of your Dao body is quite strong. Sacred Lord Void Sky's incarnation couldn't help but be surprised when she saw this. Hee, it's just SOSO. Ji Fei smiled. Okay, let's talk. What are you guys planning? Ji Fei was also very curious. The limitless demon lord had left so easily. Things definitely weren't simple. This was because the limitless demon lord and him were like fire and water, but the limitless demon lord had suffered such a big loss and was still able to swallow it. What they were planning was definitely not simple. Without the limitless demon master stopping him, Ji Fei very quickly devoured all the destructive energy in the starry sky. Shui Yarrow and Sacred Master Void Sky's clones shook their heads. Their cultivation realms had already reached the limit, so it would be very difficult for them to break through again. They did not take the destructive power in the starry sky seriously. Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense with Ji Fei. He pointed his finger, and a ball of divine light immediately rushed out of his finger and flew in front of Ji Fei. Let's go. Sacred Lord Void Sky's incarnation said to the snow monster. In the next instant, Sacred Master Void Sky's clone and the snow demon disappeared from the starry sky. Memory divine light? Ji Fei looked at the thumb-sized ball of divine light floating in front of him and could not help but frown. The 2 of them left just like that. Ji Fei was speechless. However, what he wanted to know was definitely in this ball of divine light. He hesitated for a moment, but in the next instant, he grabbed the ball of divine light. The moment he grabbed the ball of divine light, a large amount of information directly entered his mind. So that's how it is. Ji Yufei was extremely shocked. It turned out that these fellows were pitiful creatures that had been stranded here. They were constantly thinking about how to return to the limitless realm, but no matter how hard they tried, it was all for naught. There was a teleportation array in the ancestral ground of the sky race. In theory, as long as this array was activated, they would be able to return to the limitless realm. However, in reality, even if they activated the array, they would not be able to return. It was easy to come out, but difficult to go back. Wanting to break through the boundary wall of the limitless realm was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone, Shui Yarrow, Yuxian Palace Master Ling Tian, and the limitless Demon Master had tried all sorts of methods. However, they had never been able to send a single person back to the limitless realm alive. Those people had all died, their bodies and souls destroyed. This was because the boundary wall of the limitless realm was simply too difficult to break through. Once they failed, there was only one outcome: death. Now that Ji Yufei had appeared, they saw a glimmer of hope. This was because if they wanted to return to the limitless realm, they needed 2 teleportation array platforms. One array platform was in the void realm, but the other array platform had to be in the limitless realm. Someone had to enter the limitless realm and build another array platform there. This way, everyone would be able to return to the limitless realm safely. However, Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone and Shui Yarrow did not want to take the risk. This was because they did not want to die. One had to know that if they failed, even if they were limitless primes, there would only be one outcome: death. These fellows actually want to send themselves to death. In their dreams, Ji Yufei sneered. These fellows wanted to use him to break through the boundary wall of the limitless realm? They really thought too highly of him. Although Ji Yufei also wanted to see the legendary supreme world where there was no life and death and where all living beings could live forever, this did not mean that he would treat his life as a joke. However, Ji Yufei's thoughts were too simple. He immediately returned to Soaring Sky Imperial City and went into seclusion. While he was in seclusion, his subordinates started to attack cities and conquer territories. Wherever they went, countless forces would bow their heads. Even the Ghost Emperor of the North Ruins had submitted. If he did not submit, he would die. The Ghost Emperor of the North Ruins was very smart. He naturally did not want to die. The other monarch of the North Ruins had also submitted to Ji Yufei. Even the Ghost Emperor had submitted. If the Bone Emperor did not submit, there would only be one outcome for him, and that was death. These 2 archenemies of the North Ruins had fought for countless years. Who would have thought that they would become Ji Yufei's subordinates? As a result, these 2 archenemies could no longer fight. The North Ruins, the East Wastelands, the West Sea, and most of the Middle Sky had submitted. Moreover, the Southern Barbarian was originally Ji Yufei's headquarters. As a result, except for the Middle Sky, Ji Yufei had not completely conquered the 4 great regions of the Void Realm. The Middle Sky was a special place. It had the Middle Sky Snow Mountain and the limitless Demon Lord's territory. Even Ji Yufei would not be able to conquer these 2 places in a short time. Of course, there was also the towering Heaven Palace above the 9 heavens. Therefore, even though Ji Yufei had conquered the 4 great regions, he had not conquered the entire Void Realm. It seemed a little difficult for him to become the Realm Master of the Void Realm. Everything was handled by his subordinates. He went into seclusion in Middle Sky Imperial City. Moreover, he went into seclusion for a total of 24 years. One day, the door to his seclusion grounds opened. During these 24 years, the limitless Demon Lord was also recuperating. The Snow Demon on the Middle Sky Snow Mountain and Sacred Master Void Heaven's incarnation did not appear, much less in Middle Sky Imperial City. However, when Ji Yufei came out of seclusion, a figure sitting on the peak of the Middle Sky Snow Mountain suddenly opened his eyes. "It's time." The figure stood up. He was Sacred Master Void Heaven's incarnation. At the same time, the Snow Demon appeared next to him. "He's willing to go." The Snow Demon pondered. "Then it's not up to him." Sacred Master Void Heaven said coldly. Let's split up. Sacred Master Void Heaven's incarnation disappeared from the peak of the snow mountain. The snow demon also left the middle sky snow mountain. Ancestral grounds of the sky race boom. With a loud explosion, the entire ancestral grounds of the sky race shook. A figure descended from the sky, broke through the layers of arrays, and killed his way into the ancestral grounds of the sky race. The ancestral grounds of the sky race were in chaos. Very quickly, the figure grabbed a person and rushed out of the ancestral grounds of the sky race. Old ancestor, the emperors of the sky race roared as they chased after the figure. However, they did not even see the figure of the person. Who is that person? How dare he capture the old ancestor? One of the emperors of the sky race roared. The other emperors of the sky race were also shocked. At this moment, above the 9 heavens, outside the Ling Tian Palace, a figure appeared at the entrance of the Ling Tian Palace. Boom! This person punched out and sent the door of the Ling Tian Palace flying. Who dares to cause trouble in the Ling Tian Palace? An angry roar came from the Ling Tian Palace. That person did not say a word. He took a step forward and instantly entered the Ling Tian Palace. Then, under the horrified gazes of the Ling Tian Palace's inner court disciples, that person actually barged into the palace master's seclusion grounds and captured him. The defensive array of the Ling Tian Palace was as weak as paper in front of this person. Not long later, 2 figures arrived at the Limitless Demon Lord's territory. The snow demon grabbed Yuxian while the incarnation of Sacred Master Void Heaven grabbed the Ling Tian Palace Master. Fuse. The snow demon and Sacred Master Void Heaven's incarnation actually executed a great mystic art and forcefully fused Yuxian and the Ling Tian Palace Master together. Boom! A powerful and terrifying energy appeared in the sky, causing the color of the sky to change. After Yuxian fused with the Ling Tian Palace Master, she turned into the Limitless Sword Master. The moment the Limitless Sword Master appeared, a shocking sword chi spread out from her body. What the hell are you doing in my territory? An angry roar sounded. Then, a demonic figure appeared in the sky. Buzz! A sword chime sounded and a resplendent sword light rushed out from the Limitless Sword Master's body and circled around her. Why? You want to fight? The Limitless Demon Lord said coldly. After more than 24 years of recuperation, the Limitless Demon Lord's cultivation had completely recovered. It's time. Sacred Master Void Heaven's incarnation said indifferently. Really? The Limitless Demon Lord was shocked and happy when he heard this. Alright, let's go to the Middle Sky Imperial City, Sacred Master Void Heaven's incarnation said and left the Buddhist land. Snow Demon and the rest also rushed towards the Middle Sky Imperial City. At this moment, Jiyu Fei still didn't know that Sacred Master Void Heaven's incarnation and the rest were on the way to the Middle Sky Imperial City. Little fellow, come with us. Jiyu Fei just came out of seclusion and before his butt even warmed up, he was surrounded by 4 fellows in the Middle Sky Imperial City's palace. What? Jiyu Fei's shock was no small matter. These 4 fellows actually appeared at the same time, and all of them were looking for him. Oh no. Chapter 54-28. In the rear garden of the royal palace of the Zhongtian royal city, 4 figures appeared in a pavilion without any warning, directly blocking Jiyu Fei in the pavilion. You guys, Jiyu Fei was shocked. He had been in seclusion for 23 years and had finally stabilized his cultivation at the great perfection of the infinite realm. Unfortunately, he had just come out of seclusion when he was blocked by these 4 fellows. The 4 guys blocking Jiyu Fei were the clone of Sacred Master Shu Tian, the snow demon of the culmination snow mountain, the Limitless Sword Master formed by the fusion of Yuxian and Ling Tian Palace Master, and the Limitless Demon Master who had been tricked by Jiyu Fei. These 4 fellows were all infinite primes. The 4 of them represented the strongest combat power in the Void Realm. In the entire Void Realm, apart from Jiyu Fei, no one else could compete with these 4 fellows. Being trapped in the pavilion by these 4 fellows, even Jiyu Fei felt his hair stand on end. One must know that if these 4 fellows were to join forces against him, he would not be a match for them at all. What do you want? Jiyu Fei stared at the clone of Sacred Master Shu Tian with a solemn expression. He knew that the leader of the four was definitely the clone of Sacred Master Shu Tian. This was because the clone of Sacred Master Shu Tian should be the strongest of the four limitless primes. Even the limitless sword master didn't say anything. Yu Xian was Ji Yu Fei's disciple, so she naturally wouldn't go against Ji Yu Fei. However, she had fused with Ling Tian Palace Master and turned into the limitless sword master. Yu Xian was no longer the original Yu Xian and Ling Tian Palace Master wasn't the original Ling Tian Palace Master either. The limitless sword master that they had fused into was a new life form. No one could see the true face of this limitless sword master. Her face was always shrouded in a layer of mist. Even Ji Yu Fei couldn't see through her. Don't be nervous. We're here to give you a great fortune. The clone of Sacred Master Shu Tian smiled. Give your head. Don't think I don't know what you want. You want me to die? No way. Ji Yu Fei pointed his middle finger at Sacred Master Void Sky's clone. Ever since Ji Yu Fei found out about Sacred Master Void Sky's goal, he had been on his guard. He didn't think that these fellows would still come knocking on his door today. "PH, you have to go even if you don't want to," the limitless demon lord sneered. "You'd better come with us." Snow Demon looked at Ji Yu Fei and said indifferently. The limitless sword master did not speak, but her sword intent had already locked onto Ji Yu Fei. As long as Ji Yu Fei made a move, she would not hesitate to attack Ji Yu Fei. Ji Yu Fei was shocked and angry. Don't be too pessimistic. If you succeed, you will be the first living being to enter the limitless realm, Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone said. Why did he say that? That was because no outsider had ever entered the limitless realm. Since ancient times, not a single living being had succeeded. Returning to the limitless realm from the lower realms was harder than ascending to the heavens. This was also why the limitless demon lord and the others were trapped in the void realm and could not return. I will naturally go to the limitless realm, but not in this form. Ji Yu Fei stared at Sacred Master Void Sky's clone, and an extremely dangerous aura emanated from his body. The entire palace and all living beings in the Central Sky Imperial City felt as if they had fallen into an icy cavern. Everyone was terrified to the extreme. What happened? Xiao Ya immediately charged towards the back garden. You'd better come with us. Otherwise, everyone here will be finished. The limitless demon lord's body also emanated an extremely dangerous aura. Ji Yu Fei was both shocked and angry. For existences at their level, they could destroy the entire Central Sky Imperial City in the blink of an eye. You should do as old demon says. Snow Demon's cold voice sounded. Lead the way, Ji Yu Fei said in a low voice. He had not been threatened in a very long time. Today, he was actually being threatened, and he had no choice but to do as the other party said. This was too depressing. Sacred Master Void Sky's clone soared into the sky. Ji Yu Fei followed behind, and Snow Demon and the other two followed behind. When Xiao Ya charged into the back garden of the palace, she could not see a single person. Master, Xiao Ya was indescribably shocked. An hour later, in the ancestral grounds of the Sky Race, the limitless sword master opened the layers of formations of the ancestral grounds, and they directly entered the void beginning small world. Master, you're finally here? The Sacred Hall Soul appeared in the void. However, when the Sacred Hall Soul saw Snow Demon, the limitless demon lord, and Sacred Master Void Sky's clone, it immediately fled. Come out. Sacred Master Void Sky's clone grabbed at the void with its right hand, and the Sacred Hall Soul immediately appeared in the void again. The Sacred Hall Soul struggled with all its might, but it could not break free from Sacred Master Void Sky's clone. At this time, the 12 ancient emperors of the Sky Race had also arrived outside the void beginning small world. However, without the Sacred Hall Soul's summons, they did not dare to enter. Let me go, you detestable old man. The Sacred Hall Soul continued to struggle. Old man? Ji Yu Fei almost laughed when he heard this. He had already guessed what these fellows wanted to do. They wanted to activate the teleportation formation here, and they wanted him to scout for them. If you don't behave, I'll erase your consciousness. Sacred Master Void Sky's clone said coldly. The soul of the temple immediately stopped struggling and became extremely obedient. Esteemed guest, what orders do you have? The Sacred Hall soul turned into a green-robed messenger and bowed respectfully to Sacred Master Void Sky's clone. Open the teleportation hall and let us in. Sacred Master Void Sky's clone ordered the Sacred Hall soul. Yes, esteemed guest. The Sacred Hall soul was really too obedient at this time. The tightly shut door of the Sacred Hall floating in the void slowly opened. Let's go in. Sacred Master Void Sky's clone said as its figure flashed and directly entered the Sacred Hall of the Sky Race. Actually, the Sacred Hall of the Sky Race was just a teleportation hall. In the entire hall, the most valuable thing was the teleportation formation platform in the middle of the hall. Jiyu Fei was watched by Shui Yarrow and the others as he entered the teleportation hall. After the 5 of them entered the teleportation hall, they saw the ancient teleportation formation platform that exuded an extremely ancient and vicissitude aura. At this time, Sacred Master Void Sky's clone and the others skillfully operated the teleportation formation. As ancient formations lit up one after another, the entire super formation platform gradually began to operate. A powerful yuan qi fluctuation spread out from this super ancient platform. Chapter 54-29. Jiyu Fei had returned to the ancestral land of the Heavenly Clan. At this time, he was not willing to return. It was as if he had been forced to return. The Heavenly Clansmen in the ancestral grounds were stunned. They had no idea what was going on. However, when they saw the limitless Sword Master, they were terrified to the extreme. They didn't dare to resist or stop Shui Yarrow and the others. The Heavenly Clansmen had no idea what was going on. Only the 12 ancient emperors could guess what was going on. At this moment, an extremely powerful wave of yuan qi surged out of the little void world. The 12 ancient emperors were terrified. Even the 12 ancient emperors could not withstand this aura. Soon, the 12 ancient emperors retreated. Retreat, retreat, retreat from the ancestral grounds. The 12 ancient emperors split up and began to retreat. The ancestral grounds of the heavenly race were very dangerous. If the 12 ancient emperors could not withstand the aura of the teleportation formation, the others would not be able to. If they remained in the Sky Clan's ancestral land, even the 12 ancient emperors would die. Very quickly, all the Tian Clan clansmen in the Tian Clan ancestral land evacuated from the ancestral land. They retreated to a stronghold hundreds of thousands of miles away. The heavenly clansmen had prepared a backup plan. Meanwhile, in the little void world of the ancestral grounds, Sacred Master Void Sky's clone was leading everything. Soon, the teleportation formation was fully operational. Buzz! The void trembled and a beam of light shot out of the teleportation formation. It broke through the void and rushed into the endless void. At this moment, the limitless Demon Master, the Snow Demon, and the limitless Sword Master were all pouring limitless power into the teleportation formation. With 3 limitless primes working together, even the most powerful teleportation formation could be activated. However, the beam of light that shot out of the teleportation formation began to tremble. "It's like this again," Sacred Master Void Sky's clone said through gritted teeth. "Little fellow, it's your turn." Sacred Master Void Sky's clone said to Jiyu Fei, who was outside the teleportation formation. This, Jiyu Fei was both shocked and furious. These fellows were obviously trying to force him to his death. How preposterous. Do you want a life and death struggle? Jiyu Fei gritted his teeth, and a powerful yuan qi fluctuation erupted from his body. "I advise you not to do anything stupid." Sacred Lord Void Sky's incarnation stared at Jiyu Fei and said with a solemn expression, "It's fine if you want me to go up on stage, but you have to promise me one thing." Jiyu Fei thought for a moment and suddenly said, "What is it? Tell me." Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone said impatiently, "Regardless of whether I'm alive or dead, you can't touch my people, let alone kill them. If you agree, I'll help you. Otherwise, we'll have a good fight." Jiyu Fei stared at Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone and said coldly, "You still dare to bargain?" The limitless Demon Lord sneered. "TCH, why wouldn't I dare? This isn't Zenith Imperial City." Jiyu Fei said. His meaning was very clear. In this place, he could attack without any scruples. All right, I agree. Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone agreed very straightforwardly. He didn't put Gu Fei's subordinates in his eyes at all and wouldn't attack them. However, the limitless demon lord was different. He was a ruthless person who could do anything. Snow Demon also agreed, and the limitless swordmaster also nodded his head. Only the limitless demon lord was still hesitating. Old demon, what are you doing? Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone shouted at the limitless demon lord impatiently. Preposterous. The limitless demon lord roared in anger. Do you agree or not? Just say it. Gu Fei yelled at the limitless demon lord. I agree. Is that enough? The limitless demon lord said angrily. With his identity, he couldn't go back on his word once he agreed. If he did, Sacred Lord Void Sky and the others definitely wouldn't let him off. The limitless demon lord was very wary of Sacred Master Void Sky's clone. If there was anyone in the Void Realm that could kill him, it would be Sacred Master Void Sky's clone. Very good. Gu Fei nodded his head in satisfaction and walked towards the teleportation array. He was extremely excited. If he could enter the legendary Supreme Great World, it would be a great fortune for him. He went up to the teleportation formation platform and walked into the light pillar on the teleportation formation platform. Swish. Gu Fei's figure disappeared from the teleportation array. I hope he succeeds. Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone stared at the pillar of light and murmured to himself. Those people before him all failed. Can this little fella succeed? The limitless demon lord laughed coldly. Old demon, can you stop talking? Snow Demon said angrily. The limitless demon lord laughed coldly and didn't say anything else. They were all staring at the pillar of light on the teleportation array and carefully sensing the changes in it. At this moment, Gu Fei was moving quickly in the light pillar as though he was riding on a cloud. However, he couldn't sense that he was moving at all. The surroundings were extremely quiet. After an unknown period of time, boom, with a loud bang, he crashed into something. His entire body exploded and turned into a cloud of blood mist. It's over. The limitless demon lord was very disappointed in the teleportation hall of the empty beginning small world. It's over just like that. Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone and the others were also depressed. It was the same the previous few times. The life aura on the pillar of light on the teleportation array had disappeared. In other words, Gu Fei was dead. Both his body and soul had been destroyed. At this moment, at the end of the pillar of light, a ball of divine light exploded and illuminated the entire dark void. An impassable boundary wall appeared in the void. The light beam collided with the boundary wall and was blocked by it. Gu Fei also crashed into the wall. Then, his entire body exploded and turned into a bloody mist. The stronger the wall, the stronger the law of heaven and earth of the great world. The difficulty of breaking through the wall and entering the great world would increase. I thought that the little fellow would at least be able to hold on for a while. Who would have thought that he would be finished so quickly? The limitless demon lord didn't rejoice in Gu Fei's misfortune. After all, Gu Fei's failure was also their failure. There was nothing to be happy about. After plotting for so long, it still ended in failure. This made Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone and the others extremely unhappy. However, was Gu Fei really dead? At this moment, Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone and the others started to stop pouring energy into the super ancient array. The Tao patterns on the ancient array gradually disappeared and re-entered the ancient array. The entire ancient teleportation array gradually stopped operating. The pillar of light that had rushed out of the teleportation array also gradually dissipated into the void and eventually disappeared completely. The void that had been pierced by the pillar of light was quickly repaired by the heaven and earth power of the empty beginning small world. Very soon, the void was completely repaired. This way, no matter how strong Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone and the other's spiritual force was, they wouldn't be able to sense Gu Fei's existence. Furthermore, in their opinion, Gu Fei was already dead. This wasn't the first time they had done something like this. In fact, they had forced others to do the same thing before. However, all of them had failed. Furthermore, the consequence of failure was the destruction of both their body and soul. At this moment, outside the boundary of the limitless realm, a mass of blood mist floated quietly in the primal chaos void. Even the terrifying chaotic power was unable to destroy this blood mist. However, there wasn't a single trace of vitality coming from this blood mist. "Another one is here to die." An extremely old voice suddenly sounded in the primal chaos void. Then, a figure appeared in front of the blood mist and stared at it. This was an old man, a skinny old man. This old man was bare-chested and had sparse hair. His face was full of wrinkles and his fingernails were very long and very sharp. The old man just stood in the void, looking very weak. However, the surrounding chaotic power actually couldn't get close to him. What the hell? At this moment, the old man who was staring at the blood mist looked as if he had seen a ghost. He was really scared out of his wits. With a swoosh, the old man retreated thousands of miles away. At this moment, the blood mist floating in the void gradually began to exude vitality. Furthermore, this vitality was gradually becoming stronger. The blood mist began to emit boundless blood-colored light, illuminating the entire primal chaos void nearby. What's going on? He managed to survive even that. After retreating thousands of miles away, the mysterious old man stared at the blood mist. Soon, a figure appeared in the blood mist. Then, the blood mist began to weaken as the powerful vitality was devoured and absorbed by the figure. Finally, a figure appeared in the primal chaos void. This person was none other than Ji Fei. Ji Fei wouldn't die so easily. He had grasped the 9 secrets of Immortal Tao's Ascension secret technique. Even if his spirit was scattered, he could still reassemble it and reconstruct his physical body, returning to his peak state. That collision just now would have killed Ji Fei in both body and spirit, even if he was an unparalleled expert. However, he had used the Ascension secret technique in advance. Therefore, while Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone thought that Ji Fei was dead for sure, he hadn't actually died yet. However, that collision was too vicious. Ji Fei couldn't recover in a short time. Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone thought that Ji Fei was finished. Who would have thought that Ji Fei wasn't dead? He had reassembled his spirit, reconstructed his martial body, and came back to life. It's a kid. The mysterious old man was both surprised and delighted to see Ji Fei. This kid didn't die. He wouldn't be so lonely now. The mysterious old man was about to go crazy after being trapped in the primal chaos for countless years. After Ji Fei reconstructed his martial body, he immediately sensed the mysterious old man's existence. Swoosh! The void in front of Ji Fei suddenly shook. Then, the mysterious old man actually appeared in front of Ji Fei. Ji Fei stared at the mysterious old man in shock. At the same time, the mysterious old man also looked at Ji Fei in shock. Chapter 54:30. Who are you? Who are you? Ji Fei and the mysterious elder spoke at the same time. Where are you from? Void Realm? The mysterious elder was obviously more eager to know Ji Fei's background. You know about the Void Realm? Ji Fei was shocked when he heard this. Could it be that this old man also came from the Void Realm? Anyone who could appear here was definitely not an ordinary person. Ji Fei did not need to ask to know that this old man, who seemed extremely thin and weak, definitely had a great background. How come I don't know about the Void Realm? Are you really a little fellow from the Void Realm? The mysterious elder asked excitedly. Ji Fei nodded. He never would have thought that he would be able to leave the Void Realm in such a manner. Sacred Lord Void Sky's incarnation, this daddy will remember this debt. Being forced to step onto the teleportation array by those fellows made Ji Fei very unhappy. If he was unhappy, the consequences would be severe. Then tell me, who else is in the Void Realm? Are the things I left behind still there? The mysterious elder asked anxiously. The things you left behind? Who are you? Ji Fei couldn't help but frown. I haven't introduced myself. I am Void Sky, the elder said. What? When Ji Fei heard this, he was extremely shocked. This emaciated and seemingly extremely weak old man was actually the legendary sacred master Shu Tian, who had disappeared for countless years. One had to know that there was only one person called Void Sky in the Void Realm, Sacred Lord Void Sky. You are Sacred Lord Void Sky. Ji Fei looked at the mysterious elder as if he was looking at a monster. What Sacred Lord? I am Void Sky, and Void Sky is me. The elder said impatiently. He wanted to know about the situation in the Void Realm. This little one greets senior. Ji Fei hurriedly bowed to this old man. It was Sacred Lord Void Sky. He actually met a legendary super expert in the Primal Chaos Void. Sacred Master Void Sky was actually trapped in the Primal Chaos Void. However, no one knew how he got trapped. All right, quickly tell me about the Void Realm. Sacred Lord Void Sky waved her hand and said. Ji Fei thought for a while and began to speak. After a while, Ji Fei stopped. How preposterous. Was it my incarnation that forced you onto the platform? Sacred Lord Void Sky was obviously angry. Back then, he had left an incarnation in the Void Realm and stepped onto the teleportation array in order to return to the Infinite Realm. However, the barrier of the Everlasting Realm was just too strong. Even an existence like Sacred Lord Void Sky was unable to break through the barrier and return to the Everlasting Realm. There was no way forward, and there was no way back. Sacred Lord Void Sky was trapped in the Primal Chaos Void for countless years. He was the only person in the Primal Chaos Void, and he was about to go crazy. Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone and the Limitless Demon Lord had actually sent some powerful life forms into the Primal Chaos Void, but all of them had died without exception. But now, Ji Fei had survived. They've gone too far. Sacred Lord Void Sky seemed to be very angry. This wasn't the first time something like this had happened. The previous few times, the people that had been sent over had their bodies and souls destroyed. This was simply forcing people to come and die. But now, this little fellow actually didn't die. He actually survived. This was simply a miracle. It wasn't a coincidence that Sacred Lord Void Sky appeared here. This was because he was the first person to step onto the platform and the first person to reach the barrier of the Everlasting Realm. However, he was unable to return to the limitless realm that he longed for, even though he was separated by a realm wall. Let's go, follow me, Sacred Lord Void Sky said as he led the way. Very soon, Sacred Lord Void Sky brought Ji Fei to a large mountain. This was a chaotic mountain. It was extremely huge, and the entire mountain was made of chaotic divine metal. With so much chaotic divine metal, who knew how many peerless Dao weapons could be forged? Seeing such a large mountain of chaotic divine metal, even Ji Fei's eyes were slightly red. After reaching the peak of this sacred mountain, Ji Fei actually saw a large hall. Sacred Lord Void Sky had actually built a large hall at the peak of this sacred mountain. After entering the large hall, Ji Fei's eyes lit up. There was actually another world here. After entering the large hall, it was actually a world full of vitality. This surprised Ji Fei. Outside was a large hall, and inside was a world of its own. This Sacred Lord Void Sky really knew how to play. Ji Fei released his spiritual force, and his spiritual force instantly enveloped the entire world of its own. He was shocked to discover that Sacred Lord Void Sky's world of its own was actually very big. Even though it wasn't as big as the Void Realm, it was definitely as big as half of the Void Realm. In the sky of this world of its own, there was actually a dazzling sky palace floating in the air. Ji Fei was speechless. Sacred Lord Void Sky's pretentiousness was truly superb. He looked like an extremely skinny old man, but who would have thought that this fella would live in such a good place? Wasn't this like a beggar living in a sky palace? However, the only thing that surprised Ji Fei was that along the way, he actually didn't see any living beings. Let alone humans, he didn't even see any living beings. In this entire world of its own, there seemed to be only one person, and that was Sacred Lord Void Sky. It was truly hard to imagine that Sacred Lord Void Sky had lived here alone for countless years without going crazy. If it was him, he probably wouldn't be able to endure such a seemingly endless and lonely life. There wasn't a single person in this sky palace either. Actually, Sacred Lord Void Sky was lucky to have survived. However, he wasn't as lucky as Jiyu Fei. Everything he owned had been destroyed, and even his inner world had collapsed. This world of its own was a new world that he had created. Naturally, there was nothing in this newly created world of its own. The Sky Palace in the sky was also something that Sacred Lord Void Sky had created when he was bored. He was bored to the extreme. Sacred Lord Void Sky hunted a few wild beasts and roasted them on a grill. He then roasted the meat on the plaza of this Sky Palace to entertain Jiyu Fei. Jiyu Fei could tell that Sacred Lord Void Sky was truly happy. Actually, Sacred Lord Void Sky was truly happy. This was because Jiyu Fei was the first human that he had seen in countless years. Jiyu Fei's inner world hadn't been destroyed, and he directly took out some good wine from it. He was drinking wine and eating meat with Sacred Lord Void Sky. Senior, is the realm barrier of the limitless realm really that hard to break? Jiyu Fei finally couldn't help but ask. Sai, just look at me and you will know. Sacred Lord Void Sky said helplessly. The realm barrier of the limitless realm was truly very hard to break. Furthermore, when Sacred Lord Void Sky arrived at the realm barrier, he was already extremely weak. It was even more impossible for him to break the realm barrier. Sacred Lord Void Sky couldn't turn back, so he was trapped in the primal chaos void. This time, he was trapped for countless years. A single realm barrier was actually able to stop someone as amazing as Sacred Lord Void Sky. It looked like he would have to go and take a look. After eating and drinking his fill, Jiyu Fei asked Sacred Lord Void Sky to bring him to where the realm barrier was. Sacred Lord Void Sky was naturally very willing. If she teamed up with Jiyu Fei, they might be able to break the realm barrier and enter the limitless realm. Returning to the limitless realm was Sacred Lord Void Sky's obsession. This is the realm barrier of the limitless realm? When Jiyu Fei saw this wave-like thing in front of him, he was slightly dumbfounded. This wave-like thing blocked the primal chaos aura outside. If the primal chaos aura couldn't enter the limitless realm, then Jiyu Fei and company naturally couldn't enter either. Bam! Jiyu Fei threw a punch and smashed it on the boundary wall that looked like a water ripple. Jiyu Fei was taken aback. When he punched the boundary wall, it didn't budge in the slightest. Roar! Jiyu Fei attacked with all his might, and the powerful power of the limitless realm erupted from his fist. Another muffled sound. This time, a few ripples finally appeared on the realm barrier. What? Jiyu Fei was in disbelief. His punch with all his strength only caused a few ripples on the realm barrier. This realm barrier was too sturdy. Sigh, it still doesn't work. Sacred Lord Void Sky sighed. It seemed that even if the two of them teamed up, they still wouldn't be able to break through the realm barrier. Wouldn't that mean that they would be trapped in the void forever? After all, Jiyu Fei couldn't return either. The teleportation formation in the Void Heavenly Clan's ancestral ground required a huge amount of power to operate. Only Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone could operate the teleportation formation, and Jiyu Fei would be able to find the location of the teleportation formation. However, no one knew when Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone would operate the teleportation formation again. That was why Jiyu Fei couldn't return. That was also why Sacred Lord Void Sky couldn't return either. Sacred Lord Void Sky had constructed another teleportation formation. As long as the two teleportation formations resonated with each other, they would be able to return to the Void Realm. Otherwise, they would really be trapped here forever. Let's go back first. Sacred Lord Void Sky said to Jiyu Fei. All right. Jiyu Fei nodded. Under Sacred Lord Void Sky's guidance, he returned to the sacred mountain. For the next few days, Jiyu Fei wandered around the realm barrier of the Void Realm. He was thinking about how to break through the realm barrier. The realm barrier of the limitless realm was truly powerful. However, Jiyu Fei wasn't someone to be trifled with. He activated a mysterious technique and used the returning truth secret technique. This secret technique could directly refine all the origin chi in the world into his own origin chi. Jiyu Fei stretched out his right hand and pressed it against the realm barrier. He wanted to forcefully refine a hole in the realm barrier. However, What made Jiyu Fei depressed was that this realm barrier was simply too monstrous. The power of the 9 secrets of the immortal path couldn't be used on this realm barrier. In this way, Jiyu Fei was at a loss of what to do. Little fella, let's take our time to think about this. Sacred Lord Void Sky's voice sounded from behind Jiyu Fei. Jiyu Fei quickly turned around and saw that Sacred Master Void Sky was already standing behind him without him even realizing it. Take our time to think about this. Could it be that Senior still has a backup plan? Jiyu Fei's eyes lit up when he heard this. If that was really the case, then he would have a chance to leave this ghastly place. Jiyu Fei didn't want to be trapped here either. What backup plan? Sacred Lord Void Sky asked in confusion. No way. Chapter 54:31. Jiyu Fei had actually met Sacred Lord Void Sky outside the barrier of the limitless realm. This shocked him to the extreme. Who would have thought that they would meet the former ruler of the Void Realm outside the barrier of the limitless realm? Sacred Lord Void Sky was a legend. No one would have thought that the former ruler of the Void Realm had become a skinny old man. Jiyu Fei originally thought that Sacred Lord Void Sky was an otherworldly expert. This was especially so after seeing Sacred Lord Void Sky's clone, which further solidified his opinion. Who would have thought that Sacred Lord Void Sky had become an old man? If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, Jiyu Fei wouldn't have believed that this old man was Sacred Lord Void Sky. Both Jiyu Fei and Sacred Lord Void Sky were at their wits' end in the inner world that Sacred Lord Void Sky had created. This was because the barrier of the limitless realm was simply too sturdy. Even Jiyu Fei wasn't able to move the barrier of the limitless realm. If the barrier of the limitless realm was so easy to break, would I still be in this damn place? Sacred Lord Void Sky said helplessly. He had been here for countless years, and he was extremely bored. If it was anyone else, they would have gone crazy already. However, Sacred Lord Void Sky wasn't a normal person. Senior, if you have any backup plans, just tell me, Jiyu Fei said with a smile. Sacred Lord Void Sky was a true super ancient. He had been around for countless times longer than Jiyu Fei. To Sacred Lord Void Sky, Jiyu Fei was just a little fellow. What backup plans can I have? Sacred Lord Void Sky shrugged his shoulders and still had a helpless expression. He wanted to break the barrier of the limitless realm so badly that he was about to go crazy. However, even he, the Void Realm's lord, couldn't do anything about the barrier of the limitless realm. Now that Jiyu Fei was here, there might be hope. Hehe, who do you think you are? How could you not have any backup plans? Jiyu Fei wouldn't believe that Sacred Lord Void Sky really didn't have any backup plans. Sigh, I really didn't. Sacred Lord Void Sky sighed. Jiyu Fei was speechless. It seemed like he wouldn't be able to get anything out of Sacred Lord Void Sky. It was obvious that Sacred Lord Void Sky did not trust Jiyu Fei that much. After all, they had only just met. Sacred Lord Void Sky was wary of Jiyu Fei, but Jiyu Fei didn't completely trust Sacred Lord Void Sky. In reality, Jiyu Fei was still suspicious of Sacred Lord Void Sky's identity. Did he really think that he was Sacred Lord Void Sky just because he said he was? Jiyu Fei wasn't stupid enough to trust this old man the moment they met. He temporarily stayed at Sacred Master Void Sky's place. After all, they had a common goal, which was to break through the realm barrier of the limitless realm. For the next few days, Sacred Master Void Sky was nowhere to be seen. No one knew what she was busy with, but Jiyu Fei did not care about this. He needed to recover his cultivation to its peak state first. Previously, he had been forced to step onto the teleportation array by Sacred Master Void Sky's clone. Then, he had been teleported at extreme speed, and he had crashed into the boundary wall of the limitless realm. Jiyu Fei's crash was too ruthless. His body and soul were destroyed in an instant. If it was anyone else, they would have died. Fortunately, Jiyu Fei had already activated the Heaven Ascension secret technique the moment he stepped onto the teleportation array. If he hadn't activated the Heaven Ascension secret technique beforehand, he would have died. Reality proved that Jiyu Fei's worries were correct. However, even though he had activated the Heaven Ascension secret technique beforehand, Jiyu Fei wasn't completely unscathed. He had more or less suffered from the impact. The spirit chi in Sacred Lord Void Sky's Heaven Ascension secret technique was still sufficient, so Ji Yufei decided to cultivate in seclusion for a while. While Ji Yufei was cultivating in seclusion, many things happened in the Void Realm. First, Ji Yufei's forces started to be suppressed. Eastern Wilderness, Dongyang City, Long Xiaozhou's base camp. At this time, the Eastern Wilderness demon clans that had originally submitted to Ji Yufei rebelled. The demon clans split into 4 groups and attacked Dongyang City. The originally peaceful Eastern Wilderness was once again engulfed in the flames of war. "Go and get Supreme Flame," Long Xiaozhou roared angrily in the main hall of Dongyang City's City Lord residence. "Report, Lord Supreme Flame, is missing." Very soon, someone came to report. What? All the experts in the main hall were dumbfounded. What was going on? Lord Supreme Flame had disappeared. One had to know that they could conquer Eastern Wilderness so quickly because Lord Supreme Flame was in Dongyang City. At this time, Ji Yufei's direct subordinates all felt that something was wrong. Long Xiaozhou had brought Ji Yufei's direct subordinates to Eastern Wilderness, and they had made many contributions. But now, the Wuji fire spirit had disappeared. What was going on? No one knew what was going on. Even Long Xiaozhou was dumbfounded. How is this possible? Long Xiaozhou was really panicking. This was not good. "Your Highness, why don't we retreat?" Red-browed Eagle King said. "Retreat?" Long Xiaozhou frowned. Eastern Wilderness was a newly conquered place after all, and there were too many uncertain factors. If they left now, they might be able to retreat unscathed. However, once the demon army arrived, it would not be so easy for them to leave Eastern Wilderness. "Supreme Flame, where are you?" Long Xiaozhou directly crushed a jade talisman. However, the Wuji fire spirit did not respond to Long Xiaozhou at all. What exactly happened? Long Xiaozhou was extremely anxious, but on the surface, he was still calm. "Retreat." Long Xiaozhou decisively ordered a retreat. Soon, the teleportation formation platform of Dongyang City lit up. Ji Yufei's direct subordinates immediately withdrew from Eastern Wilderness, and so did the sorcerer tribe. They had no choice but to retreat. When the demon army arrived at Dongyang City, all they saw was an empty city. This made the demon emperors of the demon army all dumbfounded. Long Xiaozhou, this little girl is really something. Old ancestor Fire Chelin couldn't help but look at Long Xiaozhou in a new light. Just as Long Xiaozhou led his people away from the Eastern Wilderness, outside the central Heaven City, the Devil Clan's army attacked again. This time, the Devil Clan's army was even more ferocious than before. The army of demons surrounded the entire Heaven capital again. "Old demon, what is the meaning of this?" Sacred Lord Void Sky's incarnation immediately found the Limitless Demon Lord. "Don't you know what I mean?" The Limitless Demon Lord sneered. "We all promised Ji Yufei that we would not attack his people. You dare to go back on your promise?" Sacred Lord Void Sky's incarnation said angrily. "Which eye of yours saw me attack Ji Yufei's people?" The Limitless Demon Lord said disapprovingly. "You," Sacred Lord Void Sky's incarnation was really angered. Without the Limitless Demon Lord's permission, would the 4 demon sovereigns dare to attack Heaven Capital? And the Eastern Wilderness demon race? Wasn't it all because of the Limitless Demon Lord that they dared to attack Long Xiaozhou? Isn't that so? I didn't even see the shadows of Ji Yufei's people. The Limitless Demon Lord said shamelessly. Chapter 5432. The Limitless Demon Lord was really shameless. He had promised Ji Yufei that he wouldn't attack his subordinates, but he didn't guarantee that his subordinates wouldn't attack Ji Yufei's subordinates. Therefore, when Sacred Lord Shu Tian's clone came, the Limitless Demon Lord acted shamelessly. He wasn't wrong, and he didn't break his promise. He really didn't attack Ji Yufei's subordinates. It was just his subordinates that attacked. Although Sacred Lord Shu Tian's clone was furious, he really couldn't do anything to the Limitless Demon Lord because the Limitless Demon Lord didn't break his promise. However, this was also the reason why the Limitless Demon Lord was shameless. "Don't go overboard." Sacred Lord Shu Tian's clone left a sentence and turned to leave. As long as I don't do it myself, what can you do to me? The limitless demon lord laughed coldly. Sacred Lord Shu Tian's clone was very strong, but if he wanted to attack the limitless demon lord, he needed to find a proper reason. Otherwise, how could he convince others? Sacred Lord Shu Tian's clone thought of himself as the supreme ruler. Of course, his original body was indeed the supreme ruler of the Void Realm. Long Xiaoju couldn't understand why the everlasting fire spirit had disappeared. One had to know that Supreme Flame was an unparalleled existence at the infinite prime realm. How could such a powerful existence suddenly disappear? Where did the everlasting fire spirit go? After Sacred Lord Shu Tian's clone left, a figure walked out from behind the limitless demon lord. This person was the everlasting fire spirit. A wise man submits to circumstances. You're very smart. The limitless demon lord laughed. It's my honor to be able to work for Senior. The everlasting fire spirit also laughed. No one would have thought that the everlasting fire spirit would submit to the limitless demon lord. However, the limitless demon lord also knew that the everlasting fire spirit submitted to him for a reason. After all, Ji Yufei was dead, and the everlasting fire spirit was the weakest among the infinite primes. Even if he didn't submit to the limitless demon lord, he would still rely on other infinite primes to protect himself. However, what the limitless demon lord didn't know was that since the limitless fire spirit was still alive, it meant that Ji Yufei was also alive. The limitless fire spirit didn't tell him this secret. The news of Ji Yufei dying was also sealed by Sacred Lord Void Sky's incarnation, and no one was allowed to spread it. However, the news of Ji Yufei's disappearance could not be hidden. Ji Yufei's forces began to withdraw to the south. The army of demons and the army of Eastern Wilderness Demon Clan wanted to attack the south directly and uproot Ji Yufei's forces. However, just as they were about to march into the south, the snow demons appeared. Therefore, the demons and the Eastern Wilderness Demon race had no choice but to retreat. This crazy woman, the limitless demon lord, was really depressed. Who would have thought that the snow demon would make a move? With the snow demon guarding the southern barbarians, who would dare to have any ideas about the southern barbarians? Thus, the southern wilderness became the world of the snow demons. Of course, the snow demon only showed her face in the southern barbarians. She did not stay in the southern barbarians but returned to her culmination Snow Mountain. The limitless demon lord naturally didn't want to fight to the death with the snow demon, so he could only give up looking for trouble with Ji Yufei's subordinates. At this time, near the boundary wall of the limitless realm, Ji Yufei was still in seclusion in the inner world of Sacred Lord Void Sky. He didn't know that his disciple had experienced a life and death crisis. If it weren't for the snow demon, his disciples in the Void Realm would have been wiped out by the snow demon. After an unknown period of time, Ji Yufei finally woke up from his meditation. I say, you're too ruthless. The moment Ji Yufei opened his eyes, he saw an old face. Damn, Ji Yufei jumped in fright. This Sacred Lord Void Sky was truly elusive. His old face was about to stick to Ji Yufei's face. What shocked Ji Yufei was that this guy was already so close to him, but he didn't notice his existence at all. It seemed that this Sacred Lord Void Sky wasn't as simple as he looked on the surface. You little brat, look at what you've done to my place. The disheveled old man shouted at Ji Yufei. What? Ji Yufei quickly looked around and saw that the flowers and trees had all withered. The heaven and earth spiritual energy in the entire world was extremely thin. I'm sorry. Ji Yufei said awkwardly. All the vitality in Sacred Lord Void Sky's inner world was almost sucked dry by him. The entire world lacked vitality. Needless to say, the flowers and trees in other parts of the inner world had also withered. You want to forget it just because you're sorry? The disheveled old man was unhappy. Sigh, why don't I help you restore the vitality in your inner world? Ji Yufei scratched his head and said. Sure. The old man nodded. Ji Yufei could only move the divine spring of life from his inner world into the old man's inner world. Hey, you actually have such a good thing? Seeing that Ji Yufei had actually taken out a divine spring of life from his inner world, he was slightly moved. This was not something that could be obtained easily. In fact, because the limitless realm had already developed to the extreme. Things like the divine spring of life had disappeared a long time ago. Sacred Lord Void Sky naturally hadn't seen the divine spring of life before. However, the limitless realm also had legends about the divine spring of life. Alright, it won't take long for the vitality in your inner world to recover. Ji Fei said. That's more like it. The old man nodded his head in satisfaction. At this moment, Ji Fei's cultivation had also recovered to its peak. Senior, why don't we go to the world wall and try again? Ji Fei suddenly said. You still haven't given up. Sacred Lord Void Sky looked at Ji Fei in surprise. Let's team up and try. We might be able to break through the world wall. Ji Fei was very confident. What? Sacred Lord Void Sky was very tempted when she saw how confident Ji Fei was. Ji Fei was right. They hadn't teamed up to try breaking through the world yet, so they might be able to succeed. However, the chances of success were still very small. However, it was worth a try. Alright, then let's team up and try. Sacred Lord Void Sky patted Ji Fei's shoulder and said. Let's go. Ji Fei took the lead and charged out of Sacred Lord Void Sky's inner world. Sacred Lord Void Sky thought for a moment and chased after him. Soon, they arrived at the boundary wall again. The so-called boundary wall was just a layer of energy wall. However, it was not an easy task to break through this wall. This was especially true for a perfect world like the limitless realm. Even Sacred Lord Void Sky wasn't able to break through the world wall of the limitless realm. What should we do? Sacred Lord Void Sky asked. Just do it. Ji Fei reached out with both hands and pressed them against the world wall. He circulated the returning truth secret art with all his might. He wanted to break through the world wall. Hey! Sacred Lord Void Sky's eyes lit up when she saw this. The world wall obviously couldn't be broken, but the surrounding aura of primordial chaos was directly turned into heaven and earth spiritual energy. Roar! Ji Fei roared as he slowly increased his returning truth power. Powerful yuan qi ripples spread from his body, and the surrounding aura of primordial chaos was all turned into heaven and earth spiritual energy and absorbed by him. This is possible. Sacred Lord Void Sky's eyes widened when she saw this. Even the yuan qi on her body felt like it was being dissolved. The power of this little fellow's secret art was too heaven-defying. What a mysterious little fellow. Sacred Lord Void Sky couldn't help but be moved by the secret art that Ji Fei displayed. Why aren't you helping me out? Ji Fei roared at Sacred Lord Void Sky. Alright, let's give it a try. Sacred Lord Void Sky gritted her teeth and appeared behind Ji Fei in a flash. He didn't hesitate and pressed his hands on Ji Fei's back. In the next instant, the vast boundless yuan qi in his body surged into Ji Fei's body. Buzz! The void trembled. The returning truth power spread out in all directions with Ji Fei and Sacred Lord Void Sky at the center. Countless auras of primordial chaos dissipated in the void. Ripples that could be seen with the naked eye appeared on the barrier in front of Ji Fei, rippling like waves on the surface of water. Hey! Sacred Lord Void Sky was both surprised and happy when she saw this. They had finally shaken the world wall. Ji Fei's hands had already sunk into the world wall. It's still not enough. Ji Fei roared. Sacred Lord Void Sky's yuan qi was so vast that it almost caused his martial physique to explode. However, it was still not enough. It wasn't enough to break through the world wall. Alright, if you can't take it, just say it. Sacred Lord Void Sky saw hope and was extremely excited. He started to pour all his yuan qi into Ji Fei's body. Ancient and profound Tao patterns appeared on his body. At this time, Sacred Lord Void Sky's appearance was also changing. His skinny body actually became stronger. His hair also turned white. His hair was growing, and his appearance was changing. In just a few seconds, the old man had turned into a strong middle-aged man. Peak of boundless power? Ji Fei finally sensed Sacred Lord Void Sky's true cultivation. This guy hid it really well. He was actually a peak of boundless power. Peak of boundless power. This was an existence that could crush Ji Fei. Not to mention Ji Fei, Even if all the boundless power experts in the void world attacked together, they wouldn't be a match for this guy. An unimaginably domineering aura exploded from Sacred Lord Void Sky's body. Ah! Ji Fei roared incessantly. His martial body swelled up like a rubber ball as blood streaks appeared on his body one after another. The power that the boundless demon lord poured into his body was too strong. Even his martial body almost couldn't take it. "Open it for me." Ji Fei circulated the returning truth secret art. When this secret art was circulated to the extreme, his hands actually lit up. Then, the realm wall in front of him actually became transparent. Inside the realm wall, there was actually a lush world filled with vitality. "Haha, I can finally return to the boundless realm." Sacred Lord Void Sky laughed crazily. He didn't care about the consequences as he poured all his Yuan Qi into Ji Fei's body. "Stop, you lunatic." At this time, Ji Fei kept coughing out blood. Sacred Lord Void Sky's power was too strong. His martial body was about to explode. "No, I can't stop. Little fellow, I'm sorry." Sacred Lord Void Sky saw the hope of returning to the boundless realm. How could he stop? He gritted his teeth and directly used a forbidden secret art. The moment this secret art's power exploded, the power of Ji Fei's returning truth secret art increased by more than 10 times. F***ck. Before Ji Fei could curse, his whole body exploded with a boom, and the power of the returning to truth secret technique increased by several times. Then, the power of the returning truth secret art actually formed a fist-sized hole on the realm wall. Swoosh. Chapter 54-33. Ji Fei was really pitiful. He had only recovered for less than a day before his body exploded again. He had severely underestimated Sacred Lord Shu Tian's determination to return to the limitless realm. Sacred Lord Shu Tian would do anything to return to the limitless realm. As long as he could break the boundary wall, he wouldn't even care about Ji Fei's life. Furthermore, he and Ji Fei hadn't known each other for long. Sacrificing Ji Fei to open the boundary wall wasn't a big deal to him. He didn't even frown. The destructive power spread out, and a fist-sized hole appeared in the boundary wall of the limitless realm. Sacred Lord Shu Tian didn't even hesitate as he charged into the hole. However, the power from the explosion of Ji Fei's martial body was too strong. Sacred Lord Shu Tian's physical body also shattered in the void. However, Sacred Lord Shu Tian's primordial spirit didn't dissipate. It charged into the limitless realm. Sacred Lord Shu Tian's primordial spirit was still wearing a set of battle armor. It was this battle armor that blocked the terrifying destructive power and protected his primordial spirit. Haha, Sacred Lord Shu Tian's primordial spirit laughed crazily. Ji Fei's spiritual force sensed the scene of Sacred Lord Shu Tian's primordial spirit laughing crazily. A moment later, his spiritual force fell into endless darkness. "Little fella, I'm sorry." Sacred Lord Shu Tian didn't feel guilty at all after entering the limitless realm. At this moment, the hole in the boundary wall disappeared. Sacred Lord Shu Tian, who was in the limitless realm, was overjoyed. Sacred Lord Shu Tian, who was in the limitless realm, saw a boundless great world in front of him. One couldn't see the boundary wall in the limitless realm. Swish. Sacred Lord Shu Tian's primordial spirit disappeared in the void. He needed to find a place to enter seclusion and reconstruct his Dao body as soon as possible. After losing his Dao body and primordial spirit, even someone as strong as Sacred Lord Shu Tian had to hide. At this moment, outside the boundary wall of the limitless realm, the destructive power spread out for countless miles. Boundless chaotic aura was dispersed. Even Sacred Master Void Sky's inner world, which was hidden in the void, was affected and almost collapsed. Sacred Lord Void Sky didn't even want his inner world anymore. That was because Sacred Lord Shu Tian didn't have enough time to take away his inner world. The hole that had appeared in the world wall was going to disappear in the blink of an eye. If he didn't make use of this opportunity, he wouldn't have another chance to return to the limitless realm. Sacred Lord Void Sky had finally succeeded after countless years. In Sacred Lord Void Sky's eyes, this little fellow called Ji Fei was dead for sure. After all, no one could survive such a powerful destructive power. Sacred Lord Void Sky's forbidden sacred art was simply too heaven-defying. This secret technique increased the power of both Jiyu Fei and Sacred Lord Void Sky by more than 10 times. This power was unbelievably strong. Even the boundary wall of the limitless realm had a fist-sized hole blasted out. Of course, the boundary wall of the limitless realm was simply too strong. This hole had only appeared for a short period of time. However, Sacred Lord Void Sky had accurately grasped this rare opportunity. Sacred Lord Void Sky had indeed returned to the limitless realm, but his methods were extremely despicable. At the very last moment, Jiyu Fei also knew that he had been used by Sacred Lord Void Sky. In fact, it could even be said that he had been plotted against by Sacred Lord Void Sky. A dignified former master of the Void World had actually done such a thing. This caused Jiyu Fei to be extremely furious. However, things were no longer under his control. Thus, his martial body exploded again and again. This time, even Sacred Lord Void Sky thought that Jiyu Fei wouldn't be able to survive. However, even Sacred Lord Void Sky had severely underestimated the heaven-defying power of the Heaven Ascension secret technique. Jiyu Fei still hadn't truly died. However, this time, his injuries weren't light. There wasn't even a mist of blood left behind. He had been completely annihilated. Since he had been annihilated so thoroughly, it would take a long time for him to recover. For a long period of time, the place where Jiyu Fei had exploded was engulfed by a terrifying turbulence of energy. Even the boundary wall of the limitless realm had ripples visible to the naked eye from time to time. After an unknown period of time, Jiyu Fei seemed to have fallen asleep. However, he had slept for a very long time. When his consciousness awoke from the endless darkness, he could only sense the chaotic void around him. The void here was simply too chaotic. "Void Sky, you bastard!" Jiyu Fei immediately cursed. At this moment, he had only regained consciousness and barely condensed his divine soul. He hadn't reconstructed his martial body yet. This time, his injuries were too severe. He had never expected that Sacred Lord Void Sky would attack him from behind. If he hadn't been careful, he would have been completely annihilated. After an unknown period of time, Jiyu Fei's divine soul gradually grew stronger. Bits of divine soul fragments appeared in the surrounding void, emitting divine light. These divine soul fragments were constantly gathering towards his divine soul from all directions. Buzz. When the last bit of divine soul light merged with Jiyu Fei's divine soul, there was a loud sound in the void. A powerful divine soul power erupted from his divine soul. Return of the true self. Jiyu Fei's divine soul sat cross-legged in the void. The chaotic spiritual energy of heaven and earth all gathered towards his divine soul. Reconstruct my martial body. Endless divine light enveloped Jiyu Fei's divine soul. He wanted to reconstruct his martial body. The amount of primordial chi needed to reconstruct his martial body was too great. After all, he was reconstructing an infinite realm martial body. This was definitely a long process. Previously, when he had destroyed his martial body had only turned into a bloody mist. Thus, reconstructing his martial body was relatively easy. However, the situation now was different. This time, his martial body had been completely obliterated. Not even a bloody mist was left behind. When Jiyu Fei successfully reconstructed his martial body, he didn't know how much time had passed. After reconstructing his martial body, he immediately returned to the inner world that sacred leader Shu Tian had left behind. There was nothing much to say. He immediately took back the divine spring of life in his inner world and refined this inner world. He wasn't satisfied yet. Hence, he wanted to refine this chaotic divine metal mountain. However, it was not an easy task to refine this chaotic divine metal mountain. "I'll just refine this mountain into a primal chaos seal." Jiyu Fei did as he thought. He immediately sat cross-legged in front of this chaotic divine metal mountain and struck it with Dao patterns one after another. Very soon, countless Dao patterns intertwined in the void around the chaotic divine metal mountain. The image of a huge furnace appeared in the chaos. Jiyu Fei activated the chaotic divine fire and started to refine the chaotic divine metal mountain. It wasn't easy to refine an infinite realm Dao artifact. However, Jiyu Fei also had a deep understanding of blacksmithing. He had nothing to do anyway. Although he hated sacred leader Shu Tian to the core, that fellow had already entered the infinite realm. If he wanted to take revenge, he would first have to break the boundary wall and enter the infinite realm. However, it was impossible for him to break through the barrier of the infinite realm by himself. Even sacred Lord Void Sky couldn't break through the barrier. Jiyu Fei knew that his cultivation couldn't be compared to sacred leader Shu Tian's. At this moment, Jiyu Fei was trapped in this place. He wanted to kill his way back to the Void Realm, but it was impossible. After all, even he didn't know how far away he was from the Void Realm. Ordinary teleportation arrays wouldn't be able to send him back to the Void Realm. In fact, if he could return to the Void Realm, sacred leader Shu Tian wouldn't have been trapped in this place for so long. Since he couldn't return, he would just slowly waste his time. Anyway, Jiyu Fei had an inner world, so he wouldn't be bored. Time was passing, but there was no such thing as time in the chaos. Therefore, Jiyu Fei didn't know how long he had been in the chaos. The chaotic divine metal mountain continued to shrink under Jiyu Fei's refinement, and the impurities on the sacred mountain were constantly refined by him. In the Void Realm, Jiyu Fei's disciples and subordinates didn't have a good time. This was because they couldn't leave Nanman at all. What made Xiao Ya and the others depressed was that East King had returned. East King gathered his old subordinates in the east region of Nanman and fought with Xiao Ya and the others endlessly. With the help of Lin Xiaotian, an emperor, East King actually managed to gather a team and occupied more than a dozen cities, forming a standoff with Xiao Ya and the others. East King was originally one of the 19 feudal lords of Nanman. No one would say anything if he killed his way back to Nanman. This made Xiao Ya really unhappy. In particular, Huangfu Zun, the Array Emperor, was even more unhappy. This was because East King had escaped from his hands that day. But now, even if Huangfu Zun wanted to kill East King, it would not be easy. Everyone knew that with just Lin Xiaotian and East King, how could it be easy to gather a team? Obviously, someone was supporting East King. Who was behind the scenes? Xiao Ya and the others really couldn't figure out who it was because Jiyu Fei had really offended a lot of people. When Jiyu Fei was conquering the world, he almost offended all the forces in the 5 regions of the Void Realm. This was also the reason why Xiao Ya and the others couldn't leave Nanman. Because once they left Nanman, they couldn't move an inch. Where did Master go? In the Nanman royal capital, Xiao Ya stood on the city wall and looked at the east region. Even now, she still didn't know why Master suddenly disappeared. If Master was here, who would dare to offend him? They might have completely conquered the Void Realm by now. All the bad things kept happening because of Jiyu Fei's disappearance. The Buddha clan, which had originally surrendered to Jiyu Fei, also left Nanman. There was also the Sorcerer clan. Because of the Sorcerer Emperor, the Sorcerer clan did not attack Xiao Ya and the others. However, the people of the Sorcerer clan would not help Xiao Ya. As a result, Nanman was really in trouble both internally and externally. If they wanted to solve the current chaos, perhaps only the return of Jiyu Fei could do it. However, at this time, Jiyu Fei was trapped outside the world wall of the limitless realm. He couldn't even protect himself, so how could he help Xiao Ya and the others? At this time in the Void Realm, no one dared to stand with Xiao Ya and the others. Chapter 54-34. Aggrieved. In the Southern Barbarian Imperial Palace's conference hall, Xiao Ya was depressed. They simply fell directly from the sky to the ground. They actually fell to the point where everyone wanted to beat them up. When Jiyu Fei was still around, how glorious they were. Moreover, what made Xiao Ya even more depressed was that King Dong, who was driven away by them, suddenly returned to Southern Barbarian and raised a flag in the eastern region of Southern Barbarian. He gathered a team, conquered more than a dozen cities, and became the local tyrant. The other feudal lords of Southern Barbarian did not make a move and were all watching. Even the Witch tribe was the same. The Witch Emperor did not come out to say anything, but the 9-tailed demon Fox Emperor of the Witch Emperor appeared in Southern Barbarian Imperial Palace. This guy was a half-step Supreme Emperor, stronger than the Witch Emperor. Her appearance in southern barbarian imperial palace made Xiao Ya and the others very nervous. However, this nine-tailed demon fox emperor did not do anything. She just stayed in southern barbarian imperial palace. Xiao Ya's direct subordinates had been sent out. Huang Fuzun dealt with King Dong in the eastern region, and the four great generals guarded southern barbarian imperial palace. The 120,000 Hong Tian divine army left by Ji Yufei were responsible for the safety of southern barbarian imperial palace. The four great generals were at the Supreme Emperor realm, which was the existence of the Eternal Realm. In fact, the nine-tailed demon fox emperor could not cause much trouble in southern barbarian imperial palace. However, the nine-tailed demon fox emperor represented the Witch Emperor, and the Witch Emperor was the ruler of the Witch tribe. The Witch tribe was the strongest force in southern barbarian and had the most clansmen. At this time, Xiao Ya was absolutely unwilling to have any unpleasant things with the Witch tribe. Because the current southern barbarian was chaotic enough. There were even mysterious experts sneaking into southern barbarian imperial palace to assassinate Xiao Ya. Xiao Ya was Ji Yufei's eldest disciple. Additionally, she was also the disciple with the weakest cultivation base. There were quite a few people capable of killing Xiao Ya. However, with the protection of the four great generals, assassinating Xiao Ya was not an easy task. Although southern barbarian was full of undercurrents, with the four great generals guarding it, as long as it was not the supreme existence of the infinite realm, who could do anything to Xiao Ya and the others? Of course, the demons were still eyeing them covetously. The strength of the demons couldn't be underestimated, but the demons didn't dare to invade the southern wilderness on a large scale. Because once Xiao Ya and the others fought with the demons would suffer heavy losses. The Eastern Baron demon race didn't dare to push Xiao Ya and the others too far. As for the West Sea, it was the territory of the West Sea Dragon Clan. The West Sea Dragon Clan had a very good relationship with Ji Yufei. Naturally, the West Sea Dragon Clan would not make things difficult for little Ya and the others. As for the Ghost Emperor of the North Ruins, it was hard to say. In short, the southern barbarians had become the public enemy of the entire Void Realm. Xiao Ya and the others had not reached a desperate situation yet, but that was because the limitless Demon Lord could not personally take action. Even a supreme existence like the Extreme Demon Lord could not do as he pleased in the Void Realm. The limitless fire spirit was also targeted by Sacred Master Shu Tian's clone. He would not allow an infinite prime to act. At this time, in the chaotic void that was infinitely far away from the Void Realm, Ji Yufei was bored out of his mind. He was the only one left here. That despicable and shameless Sacred Master Shu Tian actually dared to plot against him. How could he swallow this insult? Rumble. The endless limitless divine fire burned in the chaotic void. This kind of divine fire could not be extinguished at all. It could refine everything in the world. Although the primal divine metal mountain in front of him was huge, it could not withstand the tempering of the primal divine fire. The entire primal divine metal mountain was constantly shrinking, and the impurities were constantly being refined. This primal divine metal mountain had been nurtured in the chaos for an unknown period of time. This thing was the best blacksmithing material that Ji Yufei could find at the moment. After an unknown period of time, under the envelopment of the endless limitless divine fire, the primal divine metal mountain began to change and gradually turned into a giant seal. Countless Tao patterns intertwined on the giant seal and were imprinted on it. A terrifying force condensed on the giant seal. This primal divine seal was constantly forming. There was no concept of time or space in the chaotic void. This was because this was not heaven and earth. There were no laws of heaven and earth here. Of course, since Ji Yufei could walk in the chaos, his cultivation was extremely strong. He could completely ignore the chaotic turbulence. After an unknown period of time, there was a sudden rumble in the chaotic void. Endless primal chaos energy frantically gathered towards the giant seal. The primal chaos energy within hundreds of thousands of miles was completely devoured by this giant seal. This was an unimaginably strong force. Ji Yufei used all his strength to produce 9 Dao seals. Each Dao seal represented a type of great Dao power. All 9 Tao seals entered the giant seal. Primal chaos seal, form. Jiyu Fei roared. The mountain-like primal chaos seal rapidly shrank. Then, it flew towards him and landed in his hand. Not bad. Jiyu Fei nodded in satisfaction. The primal chaos seal was surrounded by primal chaos energy. It gave off an extremely strong sense of oppression. This was an unbounded Tao artifact. This was also the first time Jiyu Fei had refined an unbounded Tao artifact. The strength of this unbounded Tao artifact went without saying. It was a supreme Tao artifact that could injure unbounded primes. When I enter the unbounded realm, I will use this giant seal to smash that old man to pieces. Jiyu Fei gritted his teeth. His gaze became extremely sharp. After refining the primal chaos seal, Jiyu Fei began to explore the surrounding chaotic void. The chaotic void, simply put, was a void in a state of chaos. There seemed to be nothing here apart from primal chaos energy. However, this wasn't absolute. This was because some things could still be nurtured in the chaos. This primal divine metal mountain was an example. However, exploring the primal chaos void was a very dangerous and boring thing to do. Even so, he had to do it. Jiyu Fei continued to expand his search area. This is, when Jiyu Fei went out to explore for the 1309th time, he actually discovered a ruin in the chaos. A ruin that floated quietly in the chaos. This ruin was simply too big. Even Jiyu Fei's spiritual force could not envelop the entire ruin. Moreover, this ruin seemed to be a world that had been destroyed. The destruction of a great world did not necessarily mean that it would explode into nothingness. It was also possible that the entire great world would shrink and be compressed into a wasteland without any life. This wasteland in front of him should have been formed after the destruction of a great world. When Jiyu Fei set foot on this wasteland, he sensed a strange aura. However, this aura was not the aura of life. This was the first time Jiyu Fei had sensed such an aura. Could this be an aura unique to the destruction of a great world? Jiyu Fei carefully walked on this wasteland. Everything he saw was a wasteland. However, he soon discovered a light in front of him. How is this possible? Chapter 54-35. After Jiyu Fei successfully refined the primal chaos seal outside the boundary of the unbounded realm, he began exploring the primal chaos void. When he explored for the 13,009th time, he was pleasantly surprised. He found a wasteland in a primal chaos that he had never explored before. There seemed to be nothing in this mysterious wasteland. It was a forbidden zone for life. A wasteland formed from the destruction of the world would not produce any life in the first place, because all life could not survive in the primal chaos. Of course, that was except for especially powerful life forms like Jiyu Fei. As Jiyu Fei walked on the wasteland, he sensed the strange aura that permeated the wasteland. Suddenly, he discovered a ball of light in the distance. How is this possible? Jiyu Fei stomped on the ground with his right foot, and in the next moment, he disappeared on the spot. When he reappeared, he was already in front of the ball of light. This ball of light was actually emitted from the body of a skeleton. A human skeleton was sitting cross-legged on a large rock, and in the skeleton's hand was a jade token. Jiyu Fei discovered that the light he saw was emitted from the jade token in the skeleton's hand. Good heavens, Jiyu Fei could not help but be moved, because he could sense that the jade token in the skeleton's hand was actually emitting a powerful wave of primal chi. This skeleton had been dead for an unknown period of time, but its bones were still as sparkling and translucent as peerless divine jade. It's at least an impressive person at the extreme Tao realm, Jiyu Fei sighed. A powerful existence at the extreme Tao realm had actually died here. It seemed like the calamity back then was extremely terrifying. Even an existence at the extreme Tao realm could not survive. In fact, an existence at the extreme Tao realm was already powerful enough. Even if the world was destroyed, they could still survive. However, this also depended on the world. If a world like the unbounded realm was destroyed, even an existence at the infinite prime realm would die, let alone an extreme Tao powerhouse. Perhaps this wasteland used to be an extremely powerful world, so much so that even an extreme Tao powerhouse could not survive the destruction of this world. What is this? Ji Fei stretched out his right hand, and the jade token in the skeleton's hand flew directly into his hand. The moment he grabbed the jade token, a powerful divine sense immediately rushed into his hand from the jade token. Then, it quickly moved up his arm and rushed towards his head. Ha ha! To think that I would still be alive after so many years. The divine will laughed heartily. This fellow was simply ecstatic. Who are you? Ji Fei was shocked. You don't have the right to know who I am. Just obediently let me refine you. The divine will said arrogantly. This, Ji Fei never imagined that such a thing would happen. This jade tablet actually had an indestructible divine sense attached to it. It was obvious that this fellow wanted to seize his body, refine his soul, and occupy his martial body. I don't have the right. Ji Fei smiled bitterly. In the next moment, an extremely vast spiritual strength burst out from between his eyebrows, and the divine will that rushed into his body was directly forced out. What? A faint, illusory figure trembled in the void. The divine will could no longer be fierce and directly became timid. Don't kill me, don't kill me. I'm willing to be Master's slave and be at Master's command. In order to survive, this divine will directly begged Ji Fei. The arrogant fellow who wanted to refine Ji Fei's spiritual soul and martial body was willing to do anything in order to live. All he wanted was to survive. In front of Ji Fei's spiritual strength, this fellow's divine will was simply so weak that it was almost negligible. This fellow actually dared to seize his body. This was simply asking for death. You're just a divine will. What value do you have? Ji Fei said disdainfully. There's value, there's value. I know a place where there might be people there. The divine will hurriedly said. What? Ji Fei's eyes instantly lit up. There was still someone alive in this wasteland. Seeing that Ji Fei was moved, this fellow hurriedly said, that is a place of refuge. Before the world was destroyed, many people entered that place. Very well, bring me there. If you dare to lie to me, I will make it hard for you to die. Ji Fei made a grabbing motion with his right hand towards the strand of divine sense and caught it in his hand. The divine will was immediately speechless. Very quickly, Ji Fei read all the memories of this divine will. It turned out that countless years ago, this wasteland was indeed a super large world. This super large world was called the Flame World. This Flame World was even stronger than the Void World, second only to the Unbounded World. However, when this super large world was discovered to its extreme, it was suddenly destroyed and became the wasteland that it was today. This was how the wasteland came to be, but how this flame world was destroyed, even this divine will did not know. Something that even an extreme Tao expert did not know, it seemed that this was the greatest secret of the flame world. The destruction of the flame world, billions of lives suffered. However, the destruction of the flame world was a process, it was not immediately destroyed. Therefore, many experts of the flame world hid in places of refuge. However, whether these places of refuge could allow them to survive was another matter. One had to know that when a super large world like the flame world was destroyed, the destructive power that was released was absolutely terrifying to an unimaginable level. Most likely, there were few places of refuge that could withstand the destructive power. This person who only had a divine will left was called Yang Lai. He was an extreme Tao expert of the flame world. With his cultivation, he could be considered an expert in the flame world, but he could not survive. He could only leave behind a divine will and wait to be reborn. Unfortunately, after waiting for countless years, the person who came was Ji Fei. Yang Lai wanted to possess Ji Fei at this time, he was tired of living. How much longer until we arrive? Ji Fei walked on the wasteland for several hours with Yang Lai's divine will but still did not reach the place Yang Lai spoke of. Also, the entire wasteland was not the same as before, and so much time had passed. It would not be easy to find those places of refuge. The primordial stone inscription is here. Yang Lai suddenly exclaimed. Primordial stone inscription? Ji Fei stilled when he heard this. There was something born from the primordial stone inscription here. He looked around and saw half of a stone tablet on a short mountain in the distance. This was the so-called primordial stone inscription. Before the destruction of the flame world, this primordial stone inscription was a very famous place. But now, this place was in ruins. Yang Lai sighed. Only half of the primordial stone inscription was left. It seemed that there was nothing in the flame world wasteland that was complete. The primordial stone inscription was just a few large words carved on a piece of primordial stone. Those were words left behind by a peerless expert and were incomparably precious. Because these words contained the Tao left behind by that peerless expert. If one could comprehend the Tao of the primordial stone inscription, one's cultivation would advance greatly. Therefore, this primordial stone inscription was a place of pilgrimage for countless cultivators at that time. Where is the place of refuge? Ji Fei was a little impatient. The jade tablet is the key to open the small world. Yang Lai hurriedly said. Back then, he died outside because he could not enter the small world in time. Back then, only great figures were qualified to enter the small world to take refuge. The so-called place of refuge was actually a small world opened up by those great figures. Ji Fei looked at the jade tablet in his hand. This jade tablet was not something that an extreme Tao expert could refine. This jade tablet came from the hands of an expert who surpassed the extreme Tao realm. For Yang Lai to have such a jade tablet, it was inseparable from his identity. Yang Lai was a member of a large clan in the flame world. This small world was actually opened up by an expert of Yang Lai's family. Ji Fei did not hesitate and directly activated the jade tablet in his hand. Buzz! The void trembled and a powerful wave of energy erupted from the jade tablet. Then, the entire ground began to shake. A stone door emerged from the ground. It's still here, the small world is still here. Yang Lai was extremely excited. As long as he returned to the small world, he would have a chance to turn the tables. Because an old ancestor of the Yang clan had also retreated into the small world to take refuge. If there were no accidents, this old ancestor should still be alive because the stone door was basically intact. The stone door was the entrance to the small world. If the people inside wanted to come out, they also needed to open the stone door. However, it was clear that this stone door had not been opened for a long time. The stone door was covered with cracks, as if it could collapse at any time. Return to origin. With a wave of his right hand, Ji Fei directly threw out the strand of consciousness in his hand. Then, a figure appeared in the void, and the surrounding primal chaos energy all gathered towards that figure. Soon, that figure became solid. Of course, this wasn't a body of flesh and blood. In just an instant, Ji Fei had actually reconstructed a body for Yang Lai. Although it wasn't a body of flesh and blood, it was still many times better than the state of a mere consciousness. It had to be said that this Yang Lai's appearance was quite good. Slender figure, sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes, this guy was a handsome man. What's the use of being handsome? Ji Fei was very disdainful. Master, many thanks for Master's grace of rebirth. Yang Lai was incomparably excited. Boom! At this time, the stone door that emerged from the ground suddenly exploded, turning into a ball of divine light. Lead the way, what are you waiting for? Ji Fei said to Yang Lai. Yes, yes, yes. This little one will immediately lead the way for Master. Yang Lai hurriedly rushed over. Chapter 54-36. When Ji Fei was exploring the chaotic void, he actually found an incomparably huge wasteland. There were actually survivors in this wasteland. This was definitely a pleasant surprise for Ji Fei. He learned about the origin of this wasteland from a guy named Yang Lai's divine sense. This place used to be a super big world. However, for some unknown reason, when this super large world reached its limit, it actually embarked on a terrifying path of destruction. This super large world called the Flame World was originally incomparably glorious and powerful, but in the end, it still couldn't escape the fate of destruction. Even this extreme Tao realm Yang Lai didn't know why the Flame World suddenly headed towards destruction. At this time, the stone door that emerged from the ground suddenly exploded. Then, a ball of divine light appeared in the void, and a powerful wave of heaven and earth power surged out of this ball of divine light. Yang Lai directly rushed forward and carefully walked into this ball of divine light. Seeing Yang Lai disappear inside, Ji Yufei didn't immediately follow. However, he waited for a while and still didn't see Yang Lai come out. This fellow dares to escape. Ji Yufei raised his eyebrows. In the next moment, he took a step forward and directly walked into the ball of divine light in front of him. He only felt as if he had passed through a layer of ice-cold water membrane. In the next moment, his eyes brightened, and he saw a side of the world appear in front of him. However, that Yang Lai had already disappeared without a trace. "Haha, good, very good." Ji Yufei laughed. A puny extreme Dao realm little fellow actually dared to escape in front of him. Moreover, this little fellow's body was reconstructed by him. Swoosh. At this time, a divine arrow shot from the sky and directly fell towards Ji Yufei's head. Ji Yufei didn't even dodge and directly let the divine arrow hit his head. Then, the divine arrow directly rebounded, unable to harm him at all. At this time, he found himself standing on an array platform. There was nothing around the array platform, not even a tree. The array platform was surrounded by withered yellow weeds. Lacking vitality, Ji Yufei frowned. This small world wasn't very big, and it lacked vitality. It was obvious that this inner world had been isolated from the outside world for too long. A pocket world also required energy to maintain. If a pocket world was isolated from the outside world, then it would need to consume the yuan qi of the experts in the pocket world to support this pocket world. At this time, countless divine arrows fell from the sky, directly falling towards Ji Yufei. Ji Yufei was too lazy to make a move. Countless divine arrows fell from the sky and hit Ji Yufei's body, but they all bounced off. Not a single divine arrow could hurt Ji Yufei. At this time, a large group of people rushed out from a distant city and charged towards Ji Yufei. What's going on? When Ji Yufei saw the formation of these people, he was immediately stunned. Do they need to run? Carrying a machete, holding a spear, and carrying a bow and arrow, was this a normal fight? In particular, the aura of this group of people could only be described as weak. A group of people who aren't even immortals. A group of people who aren't even immortals. What's going on? Are they messing with me? Ji Yufei didn't expect to encounter such a group of people. The leader of this group was riding a horse that was as thin as a match. When the horse galloped, Ji Yufei was worried that it would fall to the ground at any time. The person riding the horse was a valiant and formidable-looking woman. Why was this woman said to be valiant and formidable-looking? It was because she was an extremely beautiful woman. Moreover, she was young and wore animal skin. She looked fair and clean, but she still pretended to be very fierce. Was this the legendary act of showing off? Charge. Kill. This group of people were like mountain bandits, directly charging in front of Ji Yufei. Young miss, why did you stop? A man carrying an axe shouted at the woman on the horse. If you don't stop, then you do it. Young miss said. Pretend that I didn't say anything. That man immediately backed down. He didn't want to back down, but in front of young miss, he had no choice. The legendary path to the outside world has opened. The young miss acted as if she couldn't see Ji Yufei. She only stared at the ball of divine light behind Ji Yufei. Legendary? Ji Yufei couldn't help but frown when he heard that. Who are you? Are you from the outside world? Young miss looked at Ji Yufei and asked. Do you often have outsiders here? Ji Yufei smiled. No outsiders have ever entered our place. Young miss stared at Ji Yufei as though she was looking at a monster, not even blinking. Then, do you think I'm an outsider? Ji Yufei looked at these people. These people were too tragic to look at. They weren't even immortals or gods. Once they went outside, they would only end up dead. Moreover, the situation of this small world was not good. It had declined to an unbearable degree. In a few hundred years, this small world would be finished. If Ji Yufei didn't come, the people here would naturally die. He hadn't seen such a strange person for a long time. No one would have thought that the person hiding in this small world would turn into an ordinary person. Outsider, he's actually an outsider. The group of people behind young miss were extremely excited. Haha, honored guest, sorry for not going out to meet you, please, Young Miss actually jumped down from the horse and enthusiastically invited Ji Yufei into the city. Where did Yang Lai go? Ji Yufei released his divine sense, but he found that his divine sense couldn't enter the city. Under the perception of his divine sense, he was shocked to find that this side of the world was really at the end of the line, which made him very surprised. This city was not simple. Ji Yufei was an infinite prime, but his divine sense couldn't enter this city. Could it be that this city was protected by an infinite prime formation? The flame world in the past was an incomparably glorious super world. An infinite prime might have been born in the flame world. However, if Ji Yufei wanted to destroy this city, it wouldn't be difficult. Forget it, Yang Lai won't be able to go anywhere. Ji Yufei followed the young miss into the city. The city wasn't big, but there were many people living in it. However, what surprised Ji Yufei was that there wasn't a single existence above the immortal realm. In other words, they were just ordinary people. How can this be? Ji Yufei was a little curious. Something might have happened here. Otherwise, how could the people here be ordinary people? One should know that the Yang clan here used to be a superforce in the flame world. Their ancestor was one of the strongest existences in the flame world back then. Yang Shi was the city lord of this Yang Tian city. Because her cultivation was the highest in the entire Yang Tian city, her fists were the toughest. Therefore, she was the boss and everyone had to listen to her. Moreover, Yang Shi's family was also the strongest in the city. Everyone in the city had the surname Yang, but the direct bloodline was Yang Shi's. After countless years, the other bloodlines had become strangers. However, the direct bloodline of the Yang clan still ruled this Yang Tian city. Yang Shi set up a banquet to welcome Ji Yufei. You guys are so unaccountably solicitous. Hehe, what do you want? Ji Yufei sat down and looked at the table full of delicacies, but he didn't eat. It's nothing big. We just want you to help us leave this place. Yang Shi smiled. The outside world has already perished. You will die if you go out now. Ji Yufei shook his head and said. We will die if we go out, then how can you live outside? Yang Shi said disapprovingly. I'm different. Ji Yufei looked at Yang Shi. Alright, state your conditions. Yang Shi said helplessly. What conditions? Ji Yufei played dumb. Stop pretending. It's too much. Yang Shi's face became solemn. TSK, a little girl wants to threaten me. Save it. As long as I feel like it, I can destroy this small world with a flick of my finger. Ji Yufei said disapprovingly. Are you really the legendary great mediator? Yang Shi was not afraid when she heard this. Instead, she was very excited. What is a great mediator? Ji Yufei said indifferently. Hehe, there have always been legends about great mediators here. Legend has it that our ancestors also had great mediators, but no one knows why they disappeared. Yang Shi explained. You don't even know how your ancestors disappeared. Ji Yufei was really speechless. It seemed that something unknown had happened in this small world. Otherwise, how could the so-called great mediators in this small world disappear? This was especially true for the old ancestors of the Yang clan. Back then, they had all hidden in this small world to take refuge. They would definitely not disappear for no reason. Although Ji Yufei was curious, it didn't seem to have anything to do with him. He was lucky enough to be able to find this wasteland and find the people who were still alive in the wasteland. He wondered how many small worlds like this there were in this wasteland. Since the Yang race could hide in a small world when Yang world was destroyed, then the other superforces in Yang world could also hide in a small world. It seemed that there might be many living people in the wasteland. Thinking of this, a crazy idea suddenly appeared in Ji Yufei's mind. I really don't know. Yang Shi held her cheeks and looked at Ji Yufei. She was very familiar with everyone in Yang Tian city. Therefore, she was very sure that this guy was an outsider. The legendary great divinity had actually appeared in front of her, which made her extremely excited. Although the old ancestor disappeared for some reason, Yang Shi's family still had records of their old ancestor. And their old ancestor was a great mediator. This small world of yours is about to be destroyed. Ji Yufei said indifferently. I know. Yang Shi said. You know? Chapter 54:37. In this endless wasteland, there used to be a super big world that was developed to the extreme. This shocked Ji Yufei. He learned about this wasteland from Yang Lai. This was a lifeless place formed after the destruction of Flame World. In reality, Flame World's territory was many times larger than this wasteland. But one day, Flame World started to walk towards destruction. The process of Flame World's destruction was not very fast because Flame World did not directly explode into dust. Instead, it started to shrink. When Flame World started to shrink, the destructive power it produced destroyed all life. However, many powerful beings hid in their little worlds at the critical moment. The little world that Yang Shi was in was one of the Yang race's little worlds. In the past, many important figures took refuge here. But today, all the important figures in the Yang race's little world had disappeared. Even the direct descendants of the Yang race did not know why their old ancestor suddenly disappeared. This was an unsolved mystery in the Yang race's little world. What made Ji Yufei speechless was that there was not a single true cultivator in the Yang race's little world. How was this possible? The Yang race was one of the strongest races in Flame World in the past. How did they fall to such a state? However, Ji Yufei soon found out the reason. The spiritual energy of heaven and earth in this small world of the Yang clan was too thin. How could such a thin spiritual energy of heaven and earth give birth to a powerful existence? Even if the Yang race had all kinds of powerful cultivation methods, this place could not give birth to true cultivators. This was the tragedy of the Yang race. But now, Ji Yufei came. Yang Shi was very shrewd. This outsider was a great esper. They were small shrimps and were definitely not a match for this great esper. If the other wanted to destroy them, it would only take a flick of a finger. Therefore, she had to try her best to please this guy. Yang Shi set up a banquet to entertain Ji Yufei. They took out their best food. This was a feast that could only be eaten during a grand festival. At this time, many people were sticking their heads out. Please save us. Yang Shi began to use her pestering methods. When had Ji Yufei ever encountered such a situation? Soon, a layer of cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Save us, please. Yang Shi began to act like a spoiled child. When those guys who were peeking their heads out saw this scene, they immediately fell to the ground. Is the cute little girl acting cute, our city lord? Ji Yufei was a blockhead. Even if he had cultivated for countless years, he was still an unromantic fellow. That was why he couldn't pick up girls. This was Ji Yufei's weakness. He only had one wife, and the number of confidants he had could be counted with one hand. Therefore, he really couldn't deal with Yang Shi. Alright, I promise to save you, okay? Under Yang Shi's offensive, Ji Yufei finally couldn't hold on any longer. In fact, given his current situation, he was eager to find more people to help him. After all, it would be too miserable if he was the only one wandering in the endless chaos. That sacred master Shu Tian was a good example. When he thought of sacred master Shu Tian, Ji Yufei went crazy. He really didn't expect sacred master Shu Tian to plot against him and use him to break open the boundary of the limitless realm. She was digging a grave for him. Fortunately, he kept an eye out. Otherwise, he would have really died. In fact, Ji Yufei didn't leave that eye of vigilance to guard against sacred master Shu Tian. He thought that his goal was the same as sacred master Shu Tian's. Sacred master Shu Tian wanted to rely on him to help open the boundary wall of the limitless realm, so Ji Yufei wouldn't attack him. However, who would have thought that something that Ji Yufei didn't expect would happen? You are the benefactor of our Yang tribe. How about I repay you with my body? Yang Shi raised her wine glass and looked at Ji Yufei seductively. Shit! A drop of cold sweat flowed down from Ji Yufei's forehead and landed on the table. An honorable supreme of the limitless realm was actually scared off by a little girl. If others knew about this, they would definitely laugh their heads off. However, Ji Yufei's EQ was just that low. This couldn't be helped. Ji Yufei waved his right hand. In the next moment, Yang Shi flew out of the house as if she was riding on a cloud and directly flew out of Yangtian City. When the people outside saw this, they were immediately dumbfounded. Can't you let me have a good meal? Ji Fei said helplessly. City Lord, the people who were waiting outside immediately chased after Yang Shi. The people outside had also run away. Finally, there was no one to disturb him while he was eating. He hadn't eaten such an exquisite meal in a long time. After sending Yang Shi off, Ji Fei started eating. He ate a lot of meat and drank a lot of wine. He was in a good mood. Great divine ability, great divine ability. Although Yang Shi was thrown out of Yangtian City by Ji Fei, she was extremely excited. The divine ability that Ji Fei displayed was enough to prove that he was a true great divine ability. Great divine ability was a legendary existence in the small world of the Yang clan. Ji Fei's throw directly threw Yang Shi into a small forest about 100 miles away from Yangtian City. Yang Shi smashed into the small forest. Yang Shi wasn't injured, but when she walked out of the small forest, she was stunned. She didn't see Yangtian City. This is going to be troublesome. Yang Shi knew that she probably wouldn't be able to return to Yangtian City for a while. She was burning with anxiety. If Ji Fei were to leave, they would suffer a great loss. Yang Shi still hadn't returned to Yangtian City. At this moment, within Flame Sky City, a fellow sneaked out of the city and headed towards a mountain range outside the city. That was the Yang clan's ancestral mountain. A figure silently followed behind that person. That person was very careful, cunning, and vigilant. However, no matter how cunning he was, he couldn't sense the existence of the person behind him. The Yang clan's ancestral mountain was the only mountain in the Yang clan's small world. The Yang clan's ancestral mountain contained the tombs of the past generations. Their ancestors were all buried in the ancestral mountain. Yang Lai, this guy, the person behind this guy was naturally Ji Fei. The person who rushed to the Yang clan's ancestral mountain under the cover of the night was Yang Lai, who had previously disappeared. This guy finally showed up. Chapter 5438. The Yang clan's small world wasn't as simple as it seemed on the surface. Yangtian City was shrouded in an aura that could even interfere with Ji Fei's divine sense. Yang Lai hid in Yangtian City, so Ji Fei naturally couldn't sense his existence. However, Yang Lai finally couldn't help but come out at night. He took advantage of the darkness to sneak out of Yangtian City. The moment Yang Lai stepped out of Yangtian City, Ji Fei sensed him. What is this guy doing in that place? Ji Fei also knew that the mountain range was the Yang clan's ancestral mountain. The Yang clan's ancestral mountain was the graveyard of the fallen experts of the Yang clan. Could it be that this place was hiding some kind of secret? At this time, Ji Fei suddenly realized that he hadn't searched Yang Lai's divine sense thoroughly. For an existence like Yang Lai who was at the extreme Dao level, it wasn't difficult to tamper with his divine sense memories. I was careless. Ji Fei shook his head helplessly. Yang Lai was much more cunning than he had imagined, but so what? In the face of absolute power, it was useless for Yang Lai to be cunning. Yang Lai was far from recovering his extreme Dao realm cultivation. If he wanted to kill Yang Lai, he only needed to snap his fingers. The Yang clan's ancestral mountain was about 300 miles away from Yangtian City. For people like Yang Shi who weren't even immortals, such a distance was incomparably far. However, for Yang Lai, it was a distance that could be covered in an instant. Soon, Yang Lai arrived outside the Yang clan's ancestral mountain. After all, this was the Yang clan's ancestral mountain. There were more than 10 Yang clan members guarding the mountain gate, but no one noticed that 2 people had entered the ancestral mountain. The entire ancestral mountain stood tall on the ground, giving off a gloomy and terrifying atmosphere. It should be known that many of the Yang clan's ancestors were buried in the ancestral mountain. Therefore, it was inevitable that a terrifying corpse aura would appear on the ancestral mountain. After a peerless expert died, if their corpses didn't decay, they could undergo a corpse transformation. However, if the corpse decayed, it would produce corpse chi, corpse poison, and so on. This was also very troublesome. The Yang clan's ancestral mountain had always been a forbidden ground for the Yang clan. Only on the day of worship once a year could the members of the Yang clan ascend the mountain to worship their ancestors. At other times, even the important figures of the Yang clan were not allowed to ascend the mountain. Because the ancestral mountain was very dangerous, filled with unknown dangers. However, in Ji Yufei's eyes, the Yang clan's ancestral mountain was not some dangerous place. Yang Lai directly headed towards the peak of the mountain. Even if he passed by some great tombs, he would still directly rush past them. Soon, Yang Lai reached the top. At the peak of the Yang clan's ancestral mountain was a tomb. However, this tomb was very simple. It was merely a mound of earth. In fact, it did not even have a tombstone. Without a tombstone, it was impossible to tell whose grave it was. However, to Ji Yufei's surprise, Yang Lai's right foot stepped on the ground in front of the tomb, and the ground opened up. Yang Lai doesn't even think about it as he directly jumps into the crack in the ground. What the hell? Ji Yufei's eyes couldn't help but sharpen when he saw this. At this moment, the crack in the ground was actually continuously repairing itself. It seemed like it was about to disappear. In a flash, Ji Yufei also rushed in. The moment Ji Yufei rushed in, the crack in the ground disappeared without a trace. It was as if it had never been there. The underground passage was very long and seemed to lead directly to the Earth's core. However, Ji Yufei was very clear that this small world wasn't very big and that there would soon be an end. Sure enough, a light came from below. Ji Yufei had already turned invisible. He had perfectly merged with his surroundings. No one could sense his existence. Then, a huge space appeared in front of Ji Yufei. The Yang clan's ancestral mountain really had a secret. He saw that the huge space was completely enveloped by a layer of divine light. Silhouettes that seemed to have existed since time immemorial were sitting cross-legged in that space without moving. So that's how it is. At this moment, Ji Yufei finally understood why the big shots of the Yang clan had suddenly disappeared from the Yang clan's small world. They had all been hiding here. This was a space that was independent of the Yang clan's small world. There was nothing here except spiritual energy. That's right. Only spiritual energy that could sustain the big shots of the Yang clan. The source of this spiritual energy was the primal chaos outside this space. Not bad. Ji Yufei saw through this space with a glance. The big shots of the Yang clan could actually absorb spiritual energy from the primal chaos. This wasn't something that ordinary people could do. There were a total of 15 patriarchs of the Yang clan hiding in this enormous space. All of them were in a deep slumber and would not wake up easily. Because the spiritual energy here was barely enough to sustain their survival, these guys didn't dare to go anywhere. They couldn't go anywhere. Going out would consume their vitality. Every bit of vitality consumed would be lost. The Yang clan's small world didn't have any spiritual energy to replenish their vitality. Ji Yufei sensed. The strongest of the Yang clan ancestors hiding here was actually in the half-step infinity realm. That guy really was a super expert. This was enough to prove that the Yang clan was extremely powerful in the distant past. Surpassing the eternal realm, half-step infinity realm. Even the native beings of the void realm couldn't reach this level of cultivation. And among these guys, the one with the weakest cultivation is Yang Lai. Old ancestor, I've returned. Yang Lai is about to cry. He kowtows towards the ancestors sitting cross-legged in the void. Yang Lai, what's the situation in the outside world? An ancestor suddenly opened his eyes and an ancient voice resounded in this huge space. Third-generation ancestor, the flame world is destroyed. Everything is destroyed. Yang Lai cried. You don't need to be sad. This is already within our expectations. The third-generation ancestor of the Yang clan said indifferently. Yang Lai stilled when he heard this. This third-generation ancestor could still be so calm after hearing the news of the flame world's destruction. As expected of the third-generation ancestor, the world can be destroyed, but it can also be reborn. Perhaps now is the time. The third-generation ancestor said indifferently. Yang Lai was even more shocked when he heard this. Is there a great secret in the clan that I don't know? Interesting. At this time, a voice suddenly sounded. What? Yang Lai's shock was no different from a smile. Whoosh. Two beams of divine light rushed out of the third-generation ancestor's eyes and swept towards a figure in the sky. "It's you." When Yang Lai saw the figure descending from the sky, he was even more dumbfounded. The person who had come was the master he had just recognized, Ji Yufei. "Hehe, you dare betray me, you've got some guts." Ji Yufei glanced at Yang Lai. Yang Lai is so scared that he's shivering, already unable to speak. There was nothing he could do. The pressure Ji Yufei gave him was too strong. In front of Ji Yufei, he was as weak as an ant. He couldn't even think of resisting. "Who are you?" At this time, even the Yang clan's third-generation ancestor couldn't help but be moved. This place was very secretive. Ever since it had been sealed, no one had been able to enter. Only Yang Lai, who had been sent out, knew how to enter this place. In fact, the Yang clan's members outside the Yang clan's pocket world had long been abandoned by the 15 great ancestors of the Yang clan. They had been left to fend for themselves outside. "Who am I?" "I'm this fellow's master. Are you satisfied with this answer?" Ji Yufei smiled. "What?" The Yang clan's third-generation ancestor's expression immediately turned gloomy. This person was probably telling the truth because Yang Lai had been scared out of his wits when this person had appeared. "All right, let's not waste any more time. Do you submit to me or die? Choose." Ji Yufei said indifferently. At this time, apart from the Yang clan's third-generation ancestor, the other ancestors of the Yang clan had yet to awaken from their deep slumber. "I choose to kill you," the Yang clan's third-generation ancestor said coldly. In the next moment, he waved his right hand and a cold light immediately shot towards Ji Yufei. "Then you can die." Ji Yufei pointed his finger and immediately destroyed the cold light. In the next moment, the light from his finger directly pierced the Yang clan's third-generation ancestor's forehead. Then, the Yang clan's third-generation ancestor dissipated into the void with boundless unwillingness and fear. His body and soul had been completely destroyed. You killed the third-generation ancestor?" Yang Lai's voice trembled as he spoke. "So what if I killed him? He's just a fellow at the great success of the extreme grade." Ji Yufei said indifferently. "Master, I didn't want to betray you. Master, please spare my life. Master, please spare my life." Yang Lai immediately turned over and prostrated on the ground, begging Ji Yufei to spare his life. Even the third-generation ancestor, who was at the great success of the extreme grade, had been killed by Ji Yufei's finger. What about Yang Lai? This guy Yang Lai is lying on the ground, terrified to the extreme. He keeps banging his head, and cracks appear on his forehead one after another. He didn't have a body of flesh and blood. Even this body was reconstructed by Ji Yufei. Ji Yufei didn't care whether he killed Yang Lai or not. However, what surprised Ji Yufei was that the other Yang clan's ancestors were still in a deep sleep. None of them showed any signs of waking up. Ji Yufei knew that these guys were in a deep sleep. In this state of deep sleep, they wouldn't wake up even if they were cut into 8 pieces. "Take them away first." With a wave of his hand, Ji Yufei sucked the patriarchs of the Yang clan into his internal world along with the surrounding space. "What should I do with you?" Ji Yufei looked at the shivering Yang Lai and asked. "Master, please spare my life. Just treat me as a fart and let me go." Chapter 5439. In the end, Ji Yufei did not kill Yang Lai. It should be known that in the primal chaos, he really hoped to meet a human. This Yang Lai was the first human he met. Of course, although this guy survived the great destruction of the flame world, he was only left with a strand of consciousness. Yang Lai was an extreme Dao realm expert. Although only a strand of consciousness was left, he could still return to his origin, reconstruct his divine soul, and recover. Of course, if this fellow's divine sense was scattered, then he would be completely dead, and it would be impossible for him to recover. This time, Yang Lai had made a great contribution by capturing all the Yang clan's ancestors in one fell swoop. Ji Yufei naturally had to reward this guy. If Yang Lai had not led the way, how could he have found the Yang clan's ancestors' lair? As for how to deal with these Yang clan's ancestors, Ji Yufei's idea was very simple. If they did not submit, then kill them. Simple and direct, there was nothing to say. At this time, Yang Lai had also seen Ji Yufei's methods. This master of his would kill people at the slightest disagreement. Therefore, Yang Lai did not dare to be careless in front of Ji Yufei. Ji Yufei and Yang Lai returned to Yangtian City without anyone noticing. The night was silent. The city was in chaos as soon as the sky brightened. Yang Shi had already returned long ago. As soon as the sky brightened, she impatiently sent people to search for Ji Yufei in the city. This was because Ji Yufei did not return to the city lord's mansion. Instead, he stayed at an inn in the city. When Yang Shi returned and did not see Ji Yufei, she immediately panicked. That guy couldn't have left the Yang clan's small world like she had guessed, right? Yang Shi was also very clear about what the Yang clan was facing. The Yang clan's small world had already deteriorated to the extreme. At most, it could only hold on for another few hundred years before the Yang clan's small world collapsed. At that time, everyone in the small world would die, and the Yang clan would be exterminated. Yang Shi did not want to die, and even more so, did not want the Yang clan to be exterminated. Although she was not even an immortal god, she could still live for hundreds of years. The lifespan of the Yang race had always been very long. It was common to see elders who were hundreds of years old in the city. Because Ji Yufei stayed in the inn at night, not many people had seen Ji Yufei. Therefore, even though Yang Shi had turned the city upside down, she couldn't even see a shadow of Ji Yufei. When Ji Yufei came out to look for food, he was noticed by one of Yang Shi's men. City Lord, we found it, we found it. Yang Shi's subordinate ran back to report like a madman, even his shoes fell off. Found it. Where is it? Hearing this, Yang Shi pulled the guy over and yelled at him. It's at Fenglai Tavern. That person hurriedly said. Whoosh. Yang Shi disappeared on the spot. The surrounding subordinates only felt a strong gust of wind blowing against their faces. They were all dumbfounded. Did the city lord need to run so fast? Fenglai Tavern was just a small inn in Yangtian City. What was this guy doing in a small inn? Yang Shi flew to Fenglai Tavern. City. The innkeeper was overjoyed when he saw Yang Shi. He was about to step forward and salute, but Yang Shi directly rushed into the inn, leaving the innkeeper in a daze. Haha, great benefactor, you are actually here. You really made me look for you. Yang Shi rushed into the inn and immediately saw Ji Yufei, who was eating breakfast in the inn. Behind Ji Yufei, there was also a servant standing respectfully. In fact, with Ji Yufei's cultivation, the food of the human world was actually not essential to him. However, he had not seen people for a long time, so it was very rare for him to enjoy the food of the human world. And the servant standing behind Ji Yufei was naturally Yang Lai. Yang Shi directly sat down at the table. Boss, a bowl of soybean milk. Yang Shi said loudly. After seeing Ji Yufei, she calmed down. This guy had not left Yangtian City yet. It seemed that he was still trustworthy. City Lord, your soybean milk. The innkeeper personally came up with the soybean milk. This was the City Lord, a big shot that couldn't be invited normally. If he could curry favor with the City Lord, then he would have a meteoric rise. Who is this? Don't you want to introduce him? Yang Shi glanced at Yang Lai, who was standing behind Ji Yufei with his hands hanging down. He is your old ancestor, Ji Yufei said with a smile. What? This kind of joke can't be made. Yang Shi frowned and said. I didn't say anything wrong. Ji Yufei shrugged and said. Yang Shi couldn't help but stare at Yang Lai behind Ji Yufei. You still haven't told the city lord who you are. Ji Yufei held up the soybean milk and took a sip. This thing was really delicious. A warm current flowed directly into his abdomen and then spread around, making his whole body feel warm. Yes, master. Yang Lai immediately and cautiously stood up from behind Ji Yufei. My name is Yang Lai. I am the 12th generation direct descendant of the Yang clan. What about you? Yang Lai looked at Yang Shi and said indifferently. What? Yang Shi heard this and was really shocked. The Yang clan's genealogy was still well preserved in the city lord's mansion. This guy was actually the 12th generation direct descendant of the Yang clan. How was this possible? Didn't the 12th generation clansman disappear long ago? The Yang clan had been passed down for more than 300 generations. The 12th generation clansmen were naturally their old ancestor. Moreover, the gap in seniority was too big. How can you prove it? Yang Shi was depressed. TCH, do I still need to prove it? Yang Lai said and retreated behind Ji Yufei, standing with his hands hanging down. Yang Shi was speechless. This guy actually disdained to prove his identity. What kind of rhythm was this? What was going on? Is he really my old ancestor? Yang Shi asked Ji Yufei after a while. What do you think? Ji Yufei smiled and didn't say much. At this time, a large group of people came outside the Fenglai Inn. This group of people directly blocked the entrance of the inn, but they didn't rush into the inn. All of you, behave a bit. Yang Shi shouted towards the people outside the inn. Yes, yes, yes. Although the people outside the inn complied, it was still chaotic. After Ji Yufei finished his breakfast, he said to Yang Shi, "You go back and prepare, we'll leave in 3 days." So fast. Yang Shi was surprised to hear this. You think it's fast? Why don't you not leave? Ji Yufei said indifferently. Go go go, why don't we leave? Don't tell me we're going to stay here and wait for death. Yang Shi said and immediately got up to leave. Then, she rushed out in a hurry. 3 days, Ji Yufei only gave her 3 days. It wasn't easy to arrange for all the clansmen to leave this small world in these 3 days. However, since Ji Yufei only gave her 3 days, then 3 days. Yang Shi immediately went to do it. In fact, the Yang clansmen in Flame Sky City already knew that the Yang clan's small world wouldn't last for long. Therefore, when Yang Shi shouted, everyone immediately responded. No one wanted to die. No one wanted the Yang clan to be exterminated. Thus, a strange scene appeared in Flame Sky City. Everyone was packing their things. Seeing this scene, Ji Yufei couldn't help but secretly nod. That Yang Shi still had some prestige in the Yang clan. Everyone in Flame Sky City was packing their things. They were extremely busy, but Ji Yufei was very leisurely. You ancestors don't care about their life and death. On top of Flame Sky City's city wall, Ji Yufei said to Yang Lai. Hearing this, Yang Lai didn't know how to answer for a while. The clansmen in the Yang clan's small world had been abandoned by the ancestors. Yang Lai didn't have any feelings for these clansmen because they had been here for hundreds of generations. Moreover, for people like them who had almost endless lives, they didn't put these ant-like fellows in their eyes. The Yang clan here had already completely declined. There wasn't even a decent cultivator. You guys are very cold-blooded. Ji Yufei helplessly shook his head. Yang Lai and these guys thought that they were high above, overlooking the common people. Who would have thought that they had completely forgotten their original intentions? Ji Yufei still maintained his original intentions. Even the weakest creature was still a life and needed to be respected. However, what was the point of keeping people like the Yang clan's third-generation ancestor, who would kill people at the slightest disagreement? Those guys thought that they could control the life and death of others. Who would have thought that Ji Yufei could also control their life and death? Hearing this, Yang Lai didn't dare to speak. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. All the people of Yangtian City had packed their luggage and were then summoned by Yang Shi to the square in the city, ready to leave this damned place. Ji Yufei came with Yang Lai. How is it? It's okay, right? Yang Shi greeted them. Not bad. Ji Yufei looked at the densely packed people in the square and nodded. Yang Shi was very proud. Yes, you seem to have misunderstood. Ji Yufei shook his head helplessly. What did you say? Yang Shi was startled when she heard this. Today, I'll let you see what's called great magical power. As Ji Yufei said this, he raised his right hand. A ball of divine light immediately rushed out from his hand, shrouding the entire small world in an instant. Rumble, the entire small world shook. All the people in the square were incomparably frightened, not knowing what was going on. Then, the edge of the entire small world unexpectedly collapsed. The void distorted, and then merged into another larger world. The entire small world was absorbed into Ji Yufei's inner world and became a part of it. Powerful heaven and earth power and vast heaven and earth spiritual chi immediately rushed into this area from all directions, and the withered flowers, plants, and trees regained their vitality. In Yang Shi's view, this scene was simply inconceivable. In a very short period of time, their small world had undergone earth-shaking changes. The entire world was full of vitality. How was this possible? Weren't they going to leave this part of the world? What did Ji Yufei do? In their eyes, this was simply a miracle. But in Yang Li's eyes, Ji Yufei had swallowed and refined a part of the world with a raise of his hand. Chapter 5440. It was as easy as lifting a finger for Ji Yufei to save the people of the Yang tribe. At this moment, in the Yang tribe's Yangtian city, countless clansmen of the Yang tribe who had gathered on the square were dumbfounded. They had no idea what was happening. The entire world seemed to have changed. The sky became clearer and a godly sun hung high up in the sky, radiating scorching light. How is this possible, godly sun? The legendary godly sun? The people in the Yangtian city were in an uproar because the godly sun was a legendary thing. In the Yang tribe's small world, there was no godly Sunday. Forget about the godly sun, there was not even a star. However, in the Yang tribe's small world, there was still the alternation of day and night. A godly sun appeared high up in the sky. What was going on? The world has changed. Yang Shi was also dumbfounded. This is my world. I am the ruler. Ji Yufei said proudly. This is your world. Yang Shi was even more shocked when she heard this. It seemed that she had severely underestimated Ji Yufei. This guy was many times stronger than she had imagined. That's right. This guy was someone who could enter the Yang tribe's small world from the outside. Over the years, no one could enter the Yang tribe's small world. Alright, you guys can live here. Don't worry about the place not being big enough. This is an almost perfect world. There are also powerful living beings here. Ji Yufei explained to Yang Shi. Ji Yufei's inner world had been refined by him for countless years. It had nurtured countless living beings and many humans lived here. This was also the place where his army of death was stationed. Of course, his army of death was only stationed in a certain area of this world. In the depths of this world, the immortal divine medicine grew. It was also the place where the divine spring of life was located. Therefore, this inner world was extremely important to Ji Yufei. It was his trump card. This inner world would only collapse when Ji Yufei truly died. As long as Ji Yufei didn't die, his inner world would continue to exist. When Ji Yufei arrived at the boundary wall of the limitless realm, his body had exploded twice. However, he hadn't truly perished either time. Therefore, his inner world hadn't been affected much. Alright, that's all. I'll be leaving first. I'll come and chat with you again when I'm free. Ji Yufei is about to take Yang Li and leave. Because he really could not wait any longer. Since the flame race could survive the great destruction of the flame world and had survived for so long in the pocket world, then the other factions in the flame world might be able to survive as well. Therefore, he wanted to continue walking on the wasteland to see if he could find other survivors. Don't go, I'm not familiar with this place. Yang Shi was anxious and pulled Ji Yufei's sleeve. I see. Ji Yufei thought for a moment and then pointed a finger at Yang Shi's forehead. In the next moment, a thought entered Yang Shi's mind. In an instant, countless things appeared in Yang Shi's mind. The sudden addition of these things directly confused her. By the time she comes back to her senses, Ji Yufei and Yang Li are long gone. Cultivation method? Yang Shi was surprised and overjoyed. The things that Ji Yufei had inserted into her mind included cultivation methods. Moreover, she also learned some things about this world. This world was truly created by Ji Yufei. Moreover, this world was many times larger than the flame race's pocket world. The laws of the world here were also extremely powerful. Therefore, the beings that were born here were also very powerful. If they encountered those beings, the flame race wouldn't be enough. At this time, what Yang Shi didn't know was that some powerful beings had already entered the flame race's territory. The flame race's pocket world was smelted into Ji Yufei's inner world and turned into a small region. This region was called Yang Province. This Yang province was the territory that Jiyu Fei had bestowed to the flame race. The beings in the surrounding regions were naturally curious about the sudden appearance of this region. However, the heaven and earth spiritual energy in this region was too thin. Some truly powerful beings disdained to set foot in such a region. However, those birds and beasts also directly broke into this region. Swoosh! Soon, a huge shadow flew over the sky of Yangtian City. This made Yang Shi and the others inexplicably shocked. This is not a good place. Yang Shi and the others immediately prepared for battle. The entire Yangtian City became busy again. This outcome made everyone in the city very satisfied. They didn't need to move or leave their homes. This made everyone heave a sigh of relief. Roar! Soon, the faint roars of wild beasts came from afar. This caused Yang Shi to be extremely shocked. Those birds and beasts were really fast. Just as Yang Shi mobilized the people in the city to protect Yangtian City, Jiyu Fei and Yang Lai appeared on the wastelands of Flame World again. Jiyu Fei's thinking was too simple. He and Yang Lai carefully searched the wastelands, but they couldn't find a hidden pocket world in the void. How is this possible? Even Yang Lai felt it was inconceivable. He directly brought Jiyu Fei to the mountain gate of a former super sect in Flame World. This super sect had once ranked in the top 10 of Flame World, and was one of the strongest super factions. Even the Flame Race's strength could not compare to this super sect. This super sect was called Longevity Sect. However, when Jiyu Fei and Yang Lai arrived in front of the mountain gate of the Longevity Sect, they discovered that the mountain gate of the Longevity Sect had already collapsed long ago. Only a broken stone lion remained standing beneath the entire mountain gate. Jiyu Fei had no worries and directly walked into Longevity Sect. Yang Lai was very wary of this place. He carefully followed behind Jiyu Fei. As one of the former top 10 super factions of Flame World, the ancestral land of Longevity Sect was not a good place. This place was once covered with layers of formations. But now, the countless formations that had enveloped the Longevity Sect had vanished into thin air. However, the buildings here were better preserved compared to other places. Maybe the ancestral land of Longevity Sect protected the buildings here to a certain extent when Flame World was destroyed, but the power of destruction was too strong. Even though the ancestral land of Longevity Sect was covered with layers of super formations, it was still completely destroyed. That is, halfway up the mountain, Jiyu Fei saw a skeleton lying among the rocks on the side of the mountain path. Flame World had been destroyed for countless years, but this person's bones were still preserved. He must have had cultivation above the extreme Tao when he was alive. Even Longevity Sect couldn't escape the fate of destruction. Chapter 54-41. The Flame World was destroyed and turned into an endless wasteland. There was not a trace of life here. Everything had turned into ruins. There was nothing in the entire wasteland that was intact. Everything was destroyed. The destructive power of this world was terrifying to the extreme. Jiyu Fei and Yang Lai walked on the wasteland. They wanted to find other people hiding in the small world, or other living beings. However, they wandered around the wasteland for a long time and did not find even a strand of hair. At this time, Jiyu Fei and Yang Lai came to the ancestral land of the Longevity Sect, one of the 10 superforces of the Flame World. This place was once the holy land of cultivation in the hearts of the billions of living beings in the Flame World. In the past, countless people in the Flame World were proud to be able to enter the Longevity Sect. However, the Longevity Sect was very strict in accepting disciples. Not everyone could enter the Longevity Sect. Even some geniuses had the danger of being eliminated in the Longevity Sect's entrance examination. However, the current Longevity Sect had become ruins. It was not until Jiyu Fei reached halfway up the mountain that he found a corpse. There's nothing special about this skeleton. After Yang Lai carefully examines the skeleton, he picks up a jade tablet beside it. This jade tablet did not have a trace of spirit light. The spirit energy had long since disappeared. Hong Xian. Yang Lai turned over the other side of the jade tablet and saw 2 ancient characters engraved on the jade tablet. You know him? Jiyu Fei glanced at the corpse on the ground. Hong Xian, that was an elder of the Longevity Sect. Yang Lai sighed. An elder of the longevity sect had died here. It seemed that it was not easy for the people of the longevity sect to survive. Ji Yufei did not say anything and continued to walk up the mountain. Soon, he found a second corpse. It was also a skeleton. Everything on this skeleton had decayed, leaving only a skeleton. He continued to walk up. Then, Ji Yufei and the others saw more and more corpses. They even saw an immortal corpse, vivid and lifelike. Even the blood on its wounds had not dried. Early eternal level. When Ji Yufei saw the corpse nailed to the stone wall by a spear, he couldn't help but frown. Such a powerful fellow was nailed to death by a spear just like that. This was a powerhouse of the eternal realm. The eternal realm was many times more powerful than the extreme Tao realm. Those who could kill early-level eternal existences had to be at least mid-level eternal existences. As for those who could easily kill early-level eternal existences, they had to be at least at the large perfection eternal realm. Its ancestor Hong Yang. He died here. Yang Lai was extremely shocked when he saw that person. There weren't many eternal realm experts among the Yang clan's old ancestors. However, there were many eternal realm experts among the longevity sect's old ancestors. Old ancestor Hong Yang was an early-stage eternal ancestor of the longevity sect. An early-stage eternal realm expert would be one of the strongest even in the undestroyed flame world. Did someone destroy the longevity sect? Yang Lai said with incomparable shock. What's so surprising about that? Ji Yufei said disapprovingly. However, he seemed to smell the scent of a conspiracy. The destruction of the flame world and the longevity sect being killed at their doorstep. None of this seemed simple. It was as if there was a hidden hand behind all of this. It couldn't be Sacred Lord Void Sky's doing, right? Ji Yufei suddenly thought of a person. In order to return to the limitless realm, this person would really do anything. With Sacred Lord Void Sky's cultivation, although it would be difficult to destroy the entire flame world, it wasn't impossible. One had to know that back in the Void Realm, the limitless Demon Lord had laid down a super grand array using the stars. That super grand array of the limitless Demon Lord could possibly destroy the entire Void Realm. Thinking of this, Ji Yufei couldn't help but sweat on his forehead. If it was really Sacred Lord Void Sky's doing, then Sacred Lord Void Sky was really crazy. However, that person seemed to be a madman. Master, give this body to me. Yang Lai saw that the body of ancestor Hong Yang was still in good condition and couldn't help but be overjoyed. Right now, he just lacked a body of flesh and blood. This ancestor Hong Yang was a powerful early-stage eternal realm expert. Ancestor Hong Yang's Tao body was extremely powerful. If you want to save it, go get it yourself. Ji Yufei had no interest in these corpses. Thank you, Master. Yang Lai was overjoyed and directly rushed over. He pulled out the battle spear that was nailed to ancestor Hong Yang's body. Even after countless years, this battle spear still emitted a weak fluctuation of power. Amazing. Yang Lai was shocked. Even the destructive power of the flame world couldn't erase the spirituality of this battle spear. This battle spear was really extraordinary. Although ancestor Hong Yang's body was still in good condition, it was just a corpse. The Tao power contained in the corpse had almost been completely erased. This way, Yang Lai could enter this Tao body. Ancestor Hong Yang's divine soul had already dissipated for countless years. Yang Lai's entry into this Tao body was very smooth. When he succeeded in taking over this Tao body, the wounds on the Tao body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Picking up a Tao body for free, Yang Lai was naturally very happy. By the time Yang Lai succeeded in taking control of this Tao body, Ji Yufei had already climbed to the peak of the longevity sect's ancestral mountain and stood in front of a collapsed hall. On the square in front of the collapsed hall, there were mountains of bones, densely packed with corpses. Seeing this scene, even Ji Yufei couldn't help but feel his scalp tingle. At this time, he no longer had any doubts. Someone definitely destroyed the entire longevity sect. Who destroyed the entire longevity sect? This was something that happened countless years ago, and no one knew about it. When Yang Lai arrived behind Ji Yufei and saw the scene in front of him, he was directly stunned. This scene was too shocking. However, although Jiu Fei was curious, he also knew that this kind of secret definitely involved a great secret of heaven and earth. It was not that easy to figure out. Even the small world of the longevity sect was destroyed. Let's go. Jiu Fei shook his head helplessly, then took a step forward and directly left the longevity sect because there was nothing he was looking for here. Yang Lai hurriedly chased after him. With the longevity sect destroyed, Jiu Fei took Yang Lai to another superforce's ancestral court. This is the abyss of 9 underworlds. Jiu Fei said to Yang Lai beside him. Yang Lai looked at the abyss of 9 underworlds in front of him and didn't know what to say. This abyss was unavoidable when the flame world was destroyed. The originally huge abyss was now just a slightly deeper ravine. So it wasn't like this. Yang Lai's forehead was sweating. The original abyss of 9 underworlds was a forbidden area in the flame world, the territory of the 9 underworld race. The 9 underworld race was a super force that could compete with the longevity sect. However, at this time, there was not even a trace of yin energy in this so-called abyss of 9 underworlds. Did I come for nothing again? Jiu Fei sighed. The so-called 10 super forces of the flame world seemed to be a joke. Maybe the 9 underworld race was also destroyed by that mysterious person. Jiu Fei released his divine sense. His divine sense directly penetrated into the ground and into the stratum. Very soon, Jiu Fei sensed that his spiritual force had entered a huge space. With Jiu Fei's current great perfection cultivation, there was no power in this wasteland that could stop his divine sense. Deep underground, there was a huge space. You guard up there, Jiu Fei said and directly jumped down the ravine in front of him. Then, he punched the ground and rushed into the ground. Yang Lai couldn't help but be shocked. Jiu Fei quickly went underground and soon, he was in this underground space. Damn, Jiu Fei's spiritual will instantly enveloped the entire space. This huge space was actually a skull, an incomparably huge skull. The entire enormous space was under the protection of this skull. At the center of this space, there was a floating bone palace. It was a hall built entirely out of bones. Countless skeletons floated around this bone palace. None of these skeletons were complete. There were also many broken weapons floating in the air. It seemed that a great battle had occurred here. Did the people of the 9 underworld race also die? When the flame world was destroyed, there was also a mastermind attacking the super forces. It was too difficult to survive. With Jiu Fei's current cultivation, he had nothing to fear and directly walked forward. Wherever he passed, the floating bones were dispersed by the ripples of Yuan Qi that emanated from his body. He directly came to the bone palace. The door of the bone palace was wide open. It was pitch black inside. Jiu Fei, on the other hand, had already seen the situation inside. It was empty, with nothing inside. Wait, Jiu Fei suddenly found something lying quietly on the ground of the bone palace. A bone flute. Ahem. With a thought, Jiu Fei disappeared from where he stood. When he reappeared, he was already inside the bone palace. Jiu Fei went to pick up the bone flute. The moment his fingers touched the bone flute, the entire bone palace suddenly shook violently. A terrifying destructive power exploded. Boom. With a loud sound, the entire bone palace actually exploded. Destructive power erupted and the entire enormous space shook violently from the impact. Pitch-black spatial cracks appeared one after another in the void. Even Yang Lai, who was on the cliff outside, felt the ground beneath his feet shake. What happened? Yang Lai said in shock. At this time, in the underground space, destructive power filled every inch of space. The bone palace was actually a trap, and the bone flute in the bone palace was one of the mechanisms that triggered the trap. If someone touched the bone flute on the ground, the entire bone palace would explode. Chapter 54-42. Before the destruction of the flame world, there were many powerful races. There were 10 of the strongest superfactions in the flame world. But now, it seemed that these superfactions were in danger. Because even the longevity sect had been destroyed. At this time, Jiu Fei came to the territory of another superfaction. This superfaction was the 9 underworld race. The Nine Underworld race was definitely one of the top 10 superfactions in the Flame world. They were so strong that even the Longevity sect was slightly weaker than them. Gu Fei found an enormous space hidden under the ground by the Nine Underworld race. This huge void was actually inside a huge skull. This caused Gu Fei to be very shocked. There was actually someone who had refined a skull into a void. With Gu Fei's cultivation, he naturally had no worries in this wasteland. He directly entered this space and found another bone palace. There was nothing much to say. He directly entered this bone palace. When he wanted to pick up a bone flute on the ground, he triggered a mechanism of the bone palace. Boom! With a loud noise, the entire bone palace exploded. The eruption of destructive power instantly engulfed Gu Fei. This destructive power spread out and filled every inch of this space. All the bones floating in this space were shaken into dust. So it's a trap. A voice sounded in the destructive energy storm. Then, a figure walked out of the destructive storm, holding a bone flute in his hand. He was Gu Fei. This level of power could not harm him at all. At this time, a powerful devouring power appeared on Gu Fei's body. All the surrounding destructive power gathered towards Gu Fei and was devoured into his body. In just a few seconds, all the destructive power in this space was completely devoured by Gu Fei. You didn't die even like this. At this moment, a spiritual will fluctuation appeared in this part of the void. There are still people from the Nine Underworld race alive, Gu Fei said. The divine will sneered. In the next moment, the entire space trembled again. Then, the huge skull actually moved. As soon as this skull moves, the people outside immediately jump up. Yang Lai hastily rushes to the sky. Rumble. Clouds of dust rose from the ground. The ground cracked and sank, and an incomparably huge skull slowly rose from the ground. An extremely terrifying wave of Yuan Qi appeared between heaven and earth. Seeing this scene, Yang Lai was immediately stunned. This skull was simply too huge. It was countless times bigger than a mountain ridge, and an incomparably huge crater appeared on the ground. The aura emanating from the skull was earth-shattering. It was the demonic qi unique to the Nine Underworld race. The monstrous demonic qi enveloped the entire sky, causing the entire wasteland to tremble. This was definitely a big guy. I'm not your enemy. Gu Fei was inside this guy's space, but his face was still calm. Although this big guy was very strong, in his eyes, it was only a little stronger than an ant. This big guy was an existence in the eternal realm. Even if it was an intermediate eternal realm existence, it was still trash in Gu Fei's eyes. After searching for so long in the wasteland, Gu Fei finally found something. However, this time, he found a guy from the Nine Underworld race. He really didn't have a good impression of the demons. The Limitless Demon Lord was his sworn enemy. Of course, Gu Fei had no enmity with the Nine Underworld race here. Rumble, the world shook. The huge skull rising from the ground emitted a mighty demonic qi, covering the entire sky. One after another, demonic qi fell from the skull like a huge dragon. It was incomparably terrifying, and the demonic nature made Yang Lai's heart palpitate. If you're not my enemy, then who is? The spirit ripple appeared again. TCH, I can kill you with a snap of my fingers. Gu Fei said coldly. Then try and kill me. The spirit ripple said disdainfully. Sigh. Gu Fei had no other choice but to slap his right palm to the side. Boom. With a loud noise, Gu Fei's palm directly blasted a big hole in the huge skull. What? The spirit ripple was shocked. This person's combat power was so powerful that he could punch through the skull with one palm. It seems that this person was not lying. Do you believe me now? Gu Fei said indifferently. Who the hell are you? The spirit ripple roared. Who I am is not important. What's important is that I'm not your enemy. Gu Fei stood with his hands behind his back. When it's time to show off, then show off. Then what are you doing here? Are you here to play? The spirit ripple said loudly. I'm here to look for survivors. Gu Fei did not hide his purpose. In the entire wasteland, there were very few living beings that could survive. So far, Ji Fei had only found people from the Yang clan. Now, he had found survivors from the 9 underworld race. Looking for survivors? The spirit ripple was still suspicious of Ji Fei's purpose. If I want to kill you, it's just a matter of raising my hand. If I'm your enemy, would I waste my breath on you? Ji Fei said helplessly. The spirit ripple stopped talking. That's someone from the Yang clan? The spirit ripple spoke again. There's someone from the Yang clan who survived. The spirit ripple was shocked. That's my slave. Ji Fei said. What? He's your slave. The spirit ripple was speechless. You're going to be my slave soon. After saying that, Ji Fei took a step forward before disappearing into the void within the skull. What did you say? The spirit ripple was taken aback. At this time, Ji Fei has already appeared in front of the giant skull. Master, Yang Lai, who had retreated far away, saw Ji Fei appear and was immediately overjoyed. He had long been scared by the skull that came out of the ground to the point that his legs went soft. He almost turned around and ran away. You want me to be your slave? The skull was very angry, and the consequences were very serious. Rumble, in the midst of the loud noise, huge bones broke through the ground and rushed out. These bones directly flew together, and a huge skeleton appeared between heaven and earth. This skeleton was really too big. Its head reached the sky and its feet touched the ground. The skeleton's eyes and mouth constantly spewed out devil chi. Endless devil chi lingered around the skeleton's body. TCH, I also know this move. Ji Fei said as he shook his body. His whole body suddenly became bigger, and his height was actually comparable to the skeleton. This was a worldly Dharma idol. For Ji Fei, such a magical power was nothing more than a trifle. When the skeleton saw this scene, it jumped in fright. Want to fight? I advise you not to look for abuse. Ji Fei shook his head and sighed. Go die. The skeleton said as it punched towards Ji Fei. However, before the skeleton's fist could hit, Ji Fei's foot flew up and kicked the incomparably huge skeleton away. Boom! The huge skeleton fiercely smashed into the ground, causing the ground to shake. The skeleton slid on the ground for some distance, causing dust to fly up. How is this possible? The skeleton was shocked to the extreme. Nothing is impossible. Ji Fei descended from the sky, and his foot came crashing down towards the skull of the skeleton. The skeleton turned over, dodging Ji Fei's foot, and then stood up from the ground. Its right hand swept out, directly sweeping towards Ji Fei's waist. However, the moment the skeleton's arm swept out, Ji Fei's figure disappeared. T. The skeleton was taken aback. In the next moment, Ji Fei's right leg had already swept fiercely on its skull, directly kicking the skull away. Boom! The huge skull was directly kicked thousands of miles away by Ji Fei, directly smashing into the ground, creating a huge pit. I told you that you're no match for me, and you still don't believe me. You're looking for abuse. Ji Fei said indifferently. The skeleton was both shocked and furious. However, he couldn't refute Ji Fei because he was the one who asked for it. It could not blame anyone else for asking for it. The skeleton was extremely depressed. The skull directly flew back to the body of the skeleton. However, Ji Fei did not want this guy's head to return to the body. He flew up again, once again kicking the skull thousands of miles away. Damn it! The skeleton was furious. However, the other's fists were harder than its own, and it could not do anything to the other. Next, it was Ji Fei's turn to abuse the skeleton. Soon, the skeleton could not bear it anymore and directly begged Ji Fei for mercy. Ji Fei directly used a seal and shot a forbidden art into the skull's forehead. This way, he would not have to worry about this guy betraying him. The skeleton was an ancestor of the 9 Nether race, extremely powerful. Due to this ancestor had been able to lead everyone into the little world when Flame World was destroyed. The skeleton ancestor had been guarding the ancestral lands of the 9 Nether race, waiting for an opportunity to act. However, he had guarded for countless years, and no one had come. Finally, a human had come today, but this guy was strong enough to ignore his existence. Open the little world you've guarded for countless years. Ji Fei ordered. Yes, yes, yes. At this time, the skeleton ancestor no longer had the domineering aura from before. Right now, he was practically a coward. However, Master, the item to open the little world is in your hand. The skeleton ancestor said. In my hands. This bone flute. Ji Fei said with some surprise. Yes, this is the bone flute. The skeleton ancestor hurriedly nodded. How do I use this thing? Ji Fei examined the bone flute. Master, give the bone flute to this lowly one. This lowly one will open the little world for you. The skeleton ancestor hurriedly said. Here. Ji Fei directly threw the bone flute in his hand to the skeleton ancestor.